Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Guild Wars 2 Pro League for North America. I'm Joe Storm Noah, and alongside me for today's action is Christian Herix Thomaser. We're in week 5, 3 weeks left for teams to prove themselves to make it to those season finals. So, game number 1 here on Forest and Niflhel starting up. Let's take a look at the opening splits. It looks like nobody going to be crossing right away on the side of Astral. They're going to opt for a safe split, looking to stealth up once again. Track and Toker looking for their first victim here below the keep, and it could be Ozzy, could be Zeroma. So let's take a look at what's going down here.
Yeah, it looks like they're just trying to figure it out, and they are going to be opening up on Bob a bit, but as we talked about, Bob is on that retribution, so going for Bob, I'm not sure if that's really the best move for them to do right now. I mean, certainly some better options, at least in my opinion. Urantian already getting down to about 50% HP, gets locked down extremely low right now, does have Celestial Avatar for him, and he's going to be able to save his own life for a little bit longer, but he's getting so low and does get taken down there.
Yeah, we actually saw Toker go for the decap, and it looks like Urantian back up in the mix, but Toker went for the decap. SubQT, good reactions, getting the portal back to deal with him, so they will be able to hold on to their cap, and it looks like Trackful is just going to town with Bob. Urantian's still under a whole lot of heat, forced out of that mid-fight, and it looks like this one could be going in favor of Astral, unless we see Urantian make a push back here, and it looks like Vanaran was able to match him with his portal back to that node. So still an even fight here, but look at Ozzy, Bob, both of them sitting really low here at the keep node.
Yeah, Toker actually doing a great job of just handling Bob right now, forcing out those passives, and then just being absolutely relentless has kind of worked out in his favor so far. Bob not able to get a whole lot done. With Trackful helping as well, that certainly will clinch that kill, at least in my opinion. I mean, it's getting pretty close to getting res though, and it looks like they were able to get it off, as there was not enough cleave. Still, look at the bleeds coming out on Bob here. As soon as that glint heal comes off, he's going to be ticking down pretty quick here.
But Toker picking up a decap. SubQT wasn't able to get there in time. Meanwhile, Zeromus at the mid node, he's fairly low. Healing Signet, only thing really keeping him alive, has Endure Pain up in a couple of seconds here, so he can keep himself alive against Trackful. But Trackful has actually turned his attention over to Ozzy. Ozzy forced to use a couple cooldowns. He doesn't have anything available. Rebound in 7 seconds. He's going to actually be taken down after this Obsidian Flesh, perhaps. No. Obsidian Flesh, keep him alive for the time being. Does have his heal up in a second. Rebound available. It doesn't look like he's going to use it. He is going to be okay for the time being. Oh, gets his heal off as well, but still so much pressure. Nas going to be able to use that elite and try and take him down. Wakey going in for the stop. Going to pick it up. That's going to be the support off the board on the side of Final Form.
Yeah, that's going to end the fight much quicker for this Astral team, because they don't have that sustain anymore. Urantian forced in this 1v1 that he's currently certainly seeming like he's losing at the moment, and with a plus potentially from Toker, that will end it a lot quicker. It looks like Zeromus trying to get some support to his teammate as well, but that is quickly turned back around in his face as he drops there as well. Looks like Trackful trying to go for some damage on top of him, just solidify that kill out, and Bob is extremely low right next to him with a lot of Connies ticking down on him. Although he does cleanse them, Toker finishes the job and moves on towards that midpoint. Actually, it looks like he might make a rotation towards far and get that decap in the meantime.
Toker was down, but of course able to get back up thanks to dropping bodies on the side of Final Form. SubQT actually going to opt to leave the keep, go back to the home node, try and regroup. Thankfully for them, they hold on to this node, but unfortunately, Ozzy is in a bit of a tight spot. He is going to be taken out in the roads. That's going to be a heavy respawn for them now, because they're not going to have that support moving into this mid-fight. That's very unfortunate that he died over there, but SubQT potentially looking for the res along with Urantian. We see Zeromus kind of poking around, looking to make a push towards the mid. Ancestral Grace going to help Urantian get there before Nas trying to do anything, but Trackful's here. That's not going to be a good situation for them to be in. Meanwhile, we do have Vanaran going for the spawn here. This is really looking good for Astral.
I honestly feel like Astral is at their best when Toker can play Thief. I mean, he plays it so incredibly well that they have just such good map control almost all the time, even with Trackful coming up on this team. And certainly their ability to get these rotations is not going to be the same as if they had their typical player Chaith here. They've still done wonders in managing to hold onto the map and then basically doing what they've always done. I mean, looking back at all the old school matches, just getting that 2-cap, forcing the fight towards that far node, and just holding the team near their spawn as long as humanly possible to keep that 2-cap ticking in your favor there for as long as possible.
Urantian off respawn looking for the mine. That's going to leave his team outnumbered 4-5 at mid here. SubQT already low, so is Zeromus. Zeromus, look at the Gandhis. Man, that cleansing ire might actually have paid off, but going to be taken out due to all that massive Condi burst coming out there from, from Ostrich. Nosterjags, that would be Nos himself. He's going to get back up into the mix, though, with SupQt taken off the board. So in my opinion right now, this Final Form team need to split to the side nodes. They're looking to do exactly that, but Urantian's going to get hit very hard here in a matter of moments.
Yeah, it looks like Zeromus getting hit pretty hard as well, although they're going to be unloading into Toker, and he looks like he's just going to go ahead and get away from that, maybe re-stealth, maybe make another push towards that far node, as he might be aware that they aren't there anymore, although it kind of just looks like he's just looking around to see where he wants to go next, and he is going to opt to go to that far node. In the meantime, though, Urantian's getting incredibly low here against Track and Fana. It looks like he's just trying to hold on for dear life.
He's doing an actually relatively good job given the fact he was mowed in that fight. And Trackful and Fanaram still didn't take him down. Ozzy, however, was taken down as he started to make a push towards the mine to try and help out his teammate Urantian going in for the res. I don't think that's happening. Trackful, excellent knockback with the glint there, and they're going to be able to seal the deal onto that support. And Urantian probably going to be following into that downstate as well very shortly here. It does have his Celestial Avatar up in about 3 seconds once that comes off cooldown, but I don't think that's going to be able to save him, able to use his Shout Elite, but that's going to be it for him. Trackful going to be able to knock him off the board and now force back both Bob and Zeromus. This is a really tough spot for Final Form here because Toker going for the decap, not going to be able to get back though from SupQt. He wanted to decap that keep and left without a node once again.
And Fanaram is going to get the stomp off on Yura, solidifying that kill. 5 more points for them. 1 cap right now in favor of Astro. Everything else decapped, although 1 person dead, 2 people dead now for Final Form.
And it looks like all that remains here at mid is Zeromus and Ozzy as they start to try and look to kill Nos, but Nos just going to try and revert some of those condies back onto Zeromus, force him out with the Savage Leap, trying to get out of dodge here. Ozzy, I think, overstaying is welcome. Not sure what he's trying to do here, getting behind Toker. He could easily collapse on him and look for the burst, but SupQt went all the way behind the keep here, the long route, trying to get onto this node, looking for a decap, not going to find it against Wakey. Urantian, it really is trying for a mine decap. These guys feel so out of sync right here. Doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of, you know, kind of flow with their rotations. They're all over the map.
I mean, it's pretty much been the same story throughout the entire game. The same 2 points capped in favor of Astral, just holding fights at the midpoint. Everybody's just trying to jump on Nos here, and it looks like, for the most part, his team has been very, very good at being able to kite for him, get some eliminations, especially on Zeromus on that warrior, despite the damage that he puts out. They've just been able to get the right amount of peels and right amount of damage out that it's just been working for them pretty much the entire game here. SupQt going to be falling. Looks like Zeromus gonna try to get a res, perhaps, although SupQt just way too much damage on that body there. He's gonna be dropping, and now looks like Astral's gonna be moving out once again.
There was a whole lot of cleave onto that body, and I don't even believe Toker had any part of that cleave whatsoever. It just goes to show the rest of these guys are able to put out massive damage as well. Trackful doing an excellent job training down Ozzy all game long. I thought he'd be on top of Bob a lot, but of course Bob on the Retribution looking for other targets for the most part. Urantian now at the mine point, forced to use a couple cooldowns himself. He's consistently went for this far point push. It feels like Final Form has really put a lot of their pressure into playing the side nodes here, and it really hasn't paid off for them just yet.
Yeah, it looks like we're going to be seeing Toker trying to train Zeromus, and Zeromus could at some point quickly turn back around and get a big Condi burst on top of him. But with the blinds that Toker's putting out, I mean, he's not basically landing anything at this stage. And
oh, this could be an opportunity.
Yeah,
Shadow step up in a second. Gets his channel bigger. Oh, he's going to be taking out too much to deal with for Toker. As the 2-cap once again coming out here. Toker will lose that keep node for his team. Picking up the decap, I'm not so sure that Final Form will be able to pick up a full cap in time before Astral makes it back to the node. 6
but they might
left.
take a killer on Track. I mean, they could potentially Condi bomb him up. Look at the Condis. He dropped so quick. Completely out of... I honestly, I'm not sure about that positioning there. As soon as... I mean, when they came through that door, they saw Zeromus coming down. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that. Pull it back a little bit, force some of his cooldowns out, and then perhaps retry in a couple of seconds. But taking a big spike like that is not what you want.
It really is, and he consistently trained down members of Final Form, and they finally were able to turn on him. Nos was mowed at the mid node. Looks like SupQt forced a portal pull back and try and deal with Toker once again, picking up a decap. Only no ticking here for Final Form, 393 to 283, so still over 100-point deficit on the side of Final Form. They need to make up some ground in the remaining 5:30 on this clock, as now Zeromus is under so much heat right now, really not able to deal with this. Does have his heal to get some of that resistance. That is interrupted as well. That's going to be the end of Zeromus unless Ozzy is able to keep him up. No, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Ozzy didn't have a whole lot of cooldowns himself. 12 bleeds ticking on him. He's going to be taken into the downstate. Subcutie looking to make a push here. I think that's a mistake. Looking for the MOA. Hits Toker with the MOA of all people, trying to force him out of this node as he was already on his way to one of the side nodes here, trying to plus Trackful. That was just a horrific situation for Final Form.
I think the biggest problem with that right there, especially, I mean, now that Urantian's getting incredibly low as well, and he could potentially be eliminated, and this could potentially be a huge, huge problem for them as they've lost 3 people now that they're going to be waiting on respawn. But the thing is, or rather 4 people actually, but the thing is when they ported back to get that hinge and prevent that full cap happening from Toker, they ported 2 people back, and then both of those people didn't take the portal, or one of those people didn't take the portal back. So we saw Bob and Subcutie both out of that team fight. The MOA wasn't there, Bob wasn't there with the retry. So I mean, a lot of damage was missing, a couple options for peels were missing, and they used a 2v1 against a Thief that I didn't think was necessary, and that certainly set them up to lose that fight on mid. And now it's just kind of snowballing from there. And while they were very much in contention earlier, and still kind of are at this stage, I think things are slowly going to spiral out of control for them, as we are going to be seeing a lot of members just dying very, very quickly.
Well, that's
here.
2 off the board as Ozzy forced to Vapor Form onto the point over at the mine. Subcutie is nowhere to be found. Bob going to be taken down as well. Urantian going to be falling shortly after here. Has nothing available aside from his heal. Too many bleeds. Going to be able to, doesn't even cleanse those with his Signet there. So that will be it for Urantian and any hope of Final Form trying to get that keep. 40 points away from victory for Astro Authority to take this one 1-0. And it looks very promising as they will pick up that 2 cap for themselves.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Just coming to just basically ticking down at this point for Astro, which, I mean, I feel like has been the case so very often, and we're yet again seeing that. Final Form certainly did a great job. Interesting to see the Warrior come out. I'm not sure what grand effect it had. I mean, we haven't seen it really make a huge difference as their ability to just hold this Warrior down, as we're seeing right now with Zeromus just getting trained out by a couple members of this Astral team, is pretty much the way you want to deal with the Warrior, and it's worked out so well for them that Warrior hasn't really been able to do a whole lot this game. But these guys can get all over the place. Nas and Wakey, of course, the staple, basically the linchpin holding this stuff together, and basically kind of, I would assume that they're going to be sticking together much like we saw over on Forest with Wakey supporting Nas. And we might see a couple 1v1s as Nas is running that Master Corruption for the lesser cooldown on the heal. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of work things out.
Game number 2, Wakey is actually the only one out of the front gate. This is a very defensive split from Astral, nothing like we're used to seeing on their end. On the other end, Final Form actually a very aggressive push. They're going for the 1-1-3, so they will be outnumbered, as a matter of fact, over here at the quarry node, and they see it. This is a very risky move. I don't know that I like this move, as Zeromus is going to get beat down in a matter of moments now. He is without any support. Bob coming in, trying to bring off some of the pressure. Ozzy is actually in the area, but looks like Zeromus running away from him. He's already going to be taken into the downstate. I think that was a poor move. I don't like that one for Final Form.
If you're going to do a stealth play and aggress far that early like that, the first person who comes out needs to have a cooldown that makes them incredibly tough to take down via burst. Zeromus doesn't necessarily have that. Putting the Necro to be the first one to come out, especially on the point like that when you don't know where 3 of the members of the opposing team are, that's going to cause issues like we saw with Zeromus falling that early and Bob taking a lot of pressure as well.
Track full. Looking for some damage onto Bob. We saw Toker actually make his way over to the waterfall. Force the portal out of Subcutie fairly early on now. Won't have that for a little bit here. So Toker making his way back to this mid node to making an outnumbered fight in their favor. Bob taken into the downstate. They're going in for the cleave. Look at Trackful. He's going to actually be the one taken in or back there from the downstate ability. Bob so close. He is actually going to be stomped out at the last moment there. Urantian takes a lot of damage in the process as well. So Zeromus is bombed with Condis. He's going to be taken into the downstate. He's probably not going to be able to get back up after that one, as Subcutie makes his way to 1v1 Panoram now. This is exactly what we saw from Astro in Game 1, just dominating from the start.
Yeah, this is a snowball still occurring from when Zeromus went up against basically the entire team other than Wakey earlier. They have yet to regain control at all, and they're just losing member by member by member at this point. Ozzy trying to hold on right here, is back up to full HP, but a lot of guys are on him, especially need to be worried about Toker on that Thief. A lot of pressure coming out from this guy, and he's going to switch over to Yura instead. So double support on this midpoint, but it's still up against a 2v3. Wakey's going to be able to keep both of these guys alive, so it's basically just down to keeping the pressure on one guy, trying to get a spike ready to go, and then drop someone, and then try to cleave through all that res.
Well, because they had the numbers advantage around the map, so it allowed Trackful to actually plus SupQD over at the quarry. Going to be able to, oh, gets the Moa onto Trackful, but Trackful going to be able to take him out just a little too late on the Moa, I'd say. That's going to leave Fanaram. Yeah, Fanaram's going to be able to deal with him, just make sure he is blood out. They're going to be in a 4v5 for so long here, at least the next minute, I would say, if Fanaram chooses to bleed him out. That's going to really mean a lot for Astral, able to take a dominant lead in the coming minutes. Still a very close game, given the fact that Final Form never gave up that graveyard node.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, if they're able to take clear advantage of the fact that Astral is basically just fighting through this double support fight at the midpoint, they might be able to get some kills potentially if they get the right amount of damage out, or at least hold on to this 4v5 for a long period of time, because look at the health bars over here in this fight. Look at Trackful. Look how healthy he's not at the moment. Forced out of this fight completely, and he's going to get chased out, it looks like, by Bob. And they're going to be trying to hold on to that.
That's actually Toker. Toker, oh, phased reversal, not going to be in time for Bob. So Toker looking for the 1v1 with Bob, seeing if he can mess around with him. Meanwhile, at that mid node, it looks like Zeromus is going to be hit with the chill to the bone. Going to be able to take a lot of damage here from Nas, trying to transfer some of that back. Is going to be okay thanks to Uranti. And now Nas knocked onto the ground. Doesn't have a whole lot himself. Assume conditions up in just a matter of moments. Thanks to the Master of Corruption trait. Still, a very small lead here for Astral. Not quite able to snowball off this just yet and take the 2-cap that we saw from them so often in that game 1.
Yeah, and look how long SupQD's been able to stay up and still putting the pressure on Trackful, who was in that 1v1 over there at the quarry. He's going to be able to get the portal back over there, and he's going to decap quarry, go for the full cap. Look at this. Final Form has regained control, and now they are only a second away from being in the lead, a point up over Astral here on Legacy of the Foe Fire.
Excellent awareness from Bob, following up onto Toker with the immediate phased reversal over towards the waterfall. Gets there just in time with a tick or two remaining. This is his job. That's exactly what he needs to do if SupQD is going to be the one to deal with that quarry node. Meanwhile, at mid, still got this 2v2 going on. I think a little bit of action is over towards the quarry as we see them trying to regain control of that node and take the sides and really push hard onto this graveyard node. They still have not lost, as Aroma seems to be that main focus on the side of Astral. Needs to be very careful because Fanaram's going to come in, potentially look for a Moa onto him. We'll have to see if that's going to be the thing. There's the 2-cap for Final Form. This is an impressive start, given the fact they had lost very early on at the quarry.
Well, here's the good thing about this setup is that they can hold on 3v4 for a very, very long period of time. They only really require SupQD part of the time just to kind of swing fights a little bit in their direction. With that double support, they're able to sustain on that graveyard for so long and then basically just force the play for the 2-point. They can let some of that that aggression with Toker happen occasionally if the fight permits it, and they can really take advantage of the numbers game.
We've got 9:30 remaining, 147 to 102 in favor of Final Form. No caps for either team now. Let's take a look at Trackful, who's under a bit of heat now at the quarry node, is Ozzy and SupQD. SupQD was actually mowed there by Fanaram, and thankfully he does have Ozzy in area, so Fanaram really can't capitalize on that. He's actually forced out of the node. I think that could potentially go to SupQD. He looks like he will be able to pick up the cap. Taking a look at Toker moving away from the waterfall. There's the 2-cap once again for Final Form. Zeromus, though, will be taken down at the mid node. This is huge for Astral, as they could potentially come in, and it looks like the stomp is going to be going through. Now they could really cap this node, take advantage of it, but Nas needs to be healed up first. Out of this shroud, he has about 3,300 health. That's very dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, Zeromus should be up right now, but he accidentally double-tapped that Reaper shroud, and that certainly is going to cause deaths when you're really kind of under it right there. And it looks like Urantian trying to finish the job on Nas and hoping for an opportunity to perhaps get in there right when he dropped his Reaper shroud, but that did not work out for him in the slightest, as he's going to be dropping there. Nas is going to be going for the decap on the only point. that they have right now. And actually, Zeromus is going to get there.
Ozzy
not
going
enough
for the
time,
res, though. Ozzy doesn't get the res, blows his Obsidian Flesh as well for that one. Still holding on to that one cap. Ever so slowly building their lead now with just over 8 minutes remaining in this game. Nas taken down, I believe, over here at the midpoint, or excuse me, that was in the roads there. We actually saw Bob able to pick up the kill onto him as he was forced off the waterfall in that 2v2. Now they're going to be able to pick up the 2-cap once again. What is this, Yurix? What has changed about Final Form in the second game?
Nas actually was caught a little bit with his pants down as Zeromus was able to get there off of respawn and actually put a little bit of damage on him, forcing him off the point. Called the target for Bob. Bob pulled off the midpoint and actually took Nas down. Unfortunately, Ozzy went down at the same time. They still, like you said, have been able to hold on to this 2-cap on the side notes because of the fact that they're just really, really exploiting the fact that Astral has yet to really kind of do much about this double support that they're just leaving at mid all game long.
And it looks like SupQT finally forced off Corey with the plus from Toker all the way from that waterfall node. Forced to give it up, but Bob will be able to help him here and probably help him reclaim this because Phantom is not really looking healthy at all. He does have his heal up in a matter of seconds, able to cleanse some of those Connies, but even so, Nas might be able to pick up the waterfall for himself, and that will be a cap in favor of Final Form once again over at the Quarry. This mid node, 2 ticks away from Astral. They just need to force Final Form off this for a brief couple of seconds.
Yeah, Trackfro under a lot of pressure here. Zeromus and Ozzy just bearing down on him, trying to put some lockdown here. And it looks like he's just not really kind of found an answer to try to take down these supports here, as he's been kind of the one to be in this fight along with Wakey to try to take these guys out. In the meantime, though, Fanaram was just eliminated, taken down there by Bob. A lot of the pressure actually started up there earlier by SupQT, and they're looking to probably take this kill. Bob actually under a lot of pressure here by Toker, although the heal came out, and Toker is now going to be forced to the mid fight, where Toker is down to about 30% HP, has his heal come off right there, doesn't have too many dodges, but the Bandit's defense is going to keep him up a little bit longer here, and Bob needs to be kind of careful as he's getting kind of low himself at the moment.
Thankfully, Toker was able to get away from some of that damage from the phase traversal. That Bandit's defense really would not have been effective, but he did stealth up and was able to dodge around for a little bit there. Still over 100-point lead here for Final Form, 280 to 148. Just under 6 minutes remaining, 1 cap apiece. We'll have to see what's going to be able to turn out here in the final minutes as Wakey's in the downstate at the graveyard. That's going to be a stop. That could be a potential 2-cap unless we see Astral make their way back to that mid node. But Fanaram off respawn actually looking for the D-cap, the full cap over at the Quarry. Thankfully, they're still holding themselves in this game, but this could very well come down to a Lord push.
Yeah, Track right now has been under fire for so long, and look at the Condies on him, so low here. He is at 300 HP, does get dropped. Bob going to be able to help finish that off, and Urantian is extremely low on this body. He needs to be careful that they don't put a lot of counter pressure down, as he's getting extremely low here, and they need to make sure that he stays safe. They don't want to have to get this res, and it looks like they're going to be forced to do just that. Wakey's going to get the stomp, though.
Yes, he does pick up the stomp with the Obsidian Flesh, if I'm not mistaken. Still, these Mesmers are the ones keeping this game moving. Both picking up a cap. SupQT actually portaling back, looking for the decap. Fanaram not able to get... That was actually SupQT who made the aggressive push there. Now portals back to the graveyard, so props to him as he is going to try and deal with Toker and Trackful, who are now making a really aggressive push. That's going to be a 1v3. He does have help, though, with Urantian off of respawn, but SupQT almost giving up the cap there is about... Oh, he is forced to use that distortion. He's solo 3 bleed. Oh, he is actually going to be taken into the downstate here. So is Toker, both down. It looks like Bob was going for the cleave, going for the stomp potential. We have Toker still in the downstate. Is it going to be enough? Is SupQT able to get back up? No! SupQT will drop. That will get Toker back up into the midst of that fight. That's a pretty huge move, having SupQT off the map here.
Yeah, with Zeromus getting extremely low over in this fight here with no cooldowns left, he is going to be able to transfer that 22 bleed stack over, and that's going to keep him alive for a little bit longer here. But of course, the damage still is coming down on him from Toker here, as well as Nas. He doesn't have too much Reaper Shroud available for him, and that as soon as that dies out, he's going straight to downstate.
Oh, it was well, he was able to cleanse them, and actually he transferred them back over successfully, but still, the 3v2 just a little too much. Ozzy forced a lightning flash off the node. Not exactly sure where he was going with that burning speed there. A little bit of a hiccup, I'd say, but for the first 2-cap, I think, of the game for Astral Authority now, still down over 130 points, 3:30 remaining on the clock. Lord push could come in play at any time for Final Form.
Well, yeah, I mean, for Final Form, and certainly if it gets down to that point, then we might even see one for Astro as well. Toker getting extremely low here. I mean, Final Form really needs to make sure that they play very defensively. They need to go back to what they were doing before, play that 2-point, really kind of take control with that double support, and try to just make this game draw out a little bit longer here. Fanaram getting extremely low. SubQD looks like he's pulling off a little bit, although he knows that Fanaram's low, and Toker as well.
They're just going
look
for
at
it.
both of them.
They're just going for it. There was no portal play involved, if I'm not mistaken. They're all here. They're all stealthed up, but Astral is right behind him. Fanaram sitting about 20% HP, trying to get some of that health back. Toker is not the one you want back. Wakey needs to get back here. He's just getting to the gate. This Lord is sitting at about 75% HP, make it 50% HP. They still have to get the stop. Look at the Condies. Great Condi clear coming out from Wakey. Is it enough? Gets his full heal off. Doesn't look like they were able to get the interrupt onto him. Still sitting at about 50% HP. They have to make a hold here for Astral Authority.
He's vulnerable now. He's vulnerable now. So if they drop a bunch of damage and they're doing it, it's going to be dropping so quick. Look at the damage on him. They have to get the stomp though, and SubQD does not have that distortion.
Ozzy's going in for it. Are they able to get the stop? It doesn't look like they're able to.
SubQD still doesn't have distortion.
Ozzy taken down. It looks like that Lord, Jay might just cleave him out. He's sitting at about 40% HP, still going for the
resist. There's the stop. And Final Form takes it.
What a game. 520 to 318 for these guys. All right, game number 3, Battle of Kylo. It looks like Fanaram heading to the windmill, SubQD over to the mansion. They're trying a different split this time around. Last time they were extremely defensive, and it felt like they paid off for him, but obviously, they are going to be defensive still. They were just looking for a stealth play now, looking for any potential crosses. They are going to find some Nas, Toker, and Trackful all looking for somebody here. There's a couple marks. Bob, once again, right away going on to Fanaram here, looking for some damage. So the early cap coming out here for Final Form, going to leave them outnumbered over at the windmill.
Yeah, but it's Zeromus we want to be taking a look at here. I mean, look at the Connies on him. 20 bleed stacks here, not able to go for the heal. He's going to be dropped so quickly. And, I mean, this is the exact same start that we saw last time. So, I mean, although Zeromus might fall here, especially with Bob taken pretty low as well, this is still the exact same thing we saw at the beginning of the last game. So, while this is normally indicative of a game that will snowball very quickly, we saw that it might not always be the case.
It might not. And Toker actually looking for the plus this time onto SubQD. Going to be met by Bob. Bob needs to keep up with him. And look at Toker go. Bob actually falls down. Doesn't get the phase reversal. And it looks like traversal, rather. And it looks like SubQD was actually forced to teleport back there with his portal. So they actually opted for a little bit of a swap there. I like that idea. Good communication from these guys, even though it didn't pan out quite as they anticipated. Forced to use that portal fairly early on, but of course, it was going to expire anyways, and this mid-fight is going to be where it's at.
Yeah, still though, that that mansion just ticking away here. Bob taken down right now, 40-5 still though. Bob got back up with that res there, and it looks like they're trying to put more pressure back down on him, and Bob's just going to be going for some evasion while he gets heals from his teammate there. Ozzy getting that, I mean, just tons of heals for his teammate. But looking at Nas here, Nas is getting pretty low himself, 50%, did actually get his heal interrupted, but he does have that full Reaper Shroud to fall back on, and now he's going to be able to try to, you know, put some pressure down himself, maybe force them to play a little bit more defensive, give him a little bit of breathing room to maybe get that heal off that is ready to go as soon as he drops out of this. But look at the pressure that's coming out on him. Stuffer comes out, he's going to try for the heal and doesn't get it. I mean, a fraction of a second of difference there, and they're going to try for the stop, but they do get it, and they
That's
are able
huge play.
Oh man.
But Urantium was eliminated by Fanaram there, and Toker managed to keep SubQD out of that fight, but they still came out with the kill onto Nas there. And the thing that Toker likes to do here is he comes over to these points, he either makes you use that portal, or he picks up the decap anyhow, like he just did, forces you to waste about 10 seconds onto that node and get back to the point, giving them the numbers advantage elsewhere. And that's exactly what he's going to do here once again. Looking for the kill onto Zeromus now. Ozzy going to try and support him along with Bob, but is it enough? Because Zeromus is going to be feeling the heat now that Nas is going to be back into this fight here and looking for revenge now. Still a decent lead in favor of Final Form, 1 cap apiece. This feels like the last game already.
Yeah, and with Track getting pressured so hard, so heavily right now, he doesn't have too much dodges left as he is trying to just spam out that riposting shadows, and he's going to be able to pull out with that portal there from Fana. Yura is going to be trying to go over and maybe get a decap, but with them just sitting over here, he is going to be forcing them to do the exact same rotation that actually Final Form fell for on Hinge in the first game against Toker here, pulling both of those guys out, and then he gets to go right back over to the point on that Druid, get some support to his teammate. Of course, Trackful is able to get there just as quickly, but I mean, that's still time for his team to kind of get re-coordinated back over at that midpoint. And while they do have that 35 point lead here, they're needing that pretty much across the board here.
Oh, Toker is under a lot of pressure, forced to use that Shadow Step. His Torment, he's running around with Torment, and he's forced to go back in the Shadow Step, remove those Condies. He's under so much heat, needs to get a reset here. Now it's Aromas at the mid node. He will be taken into the downstate. They're going in for the reds. They're going to get him up with ease. It didn't even look like there was any pressure from anybody. Nas didn't have his Reaper Shroud available to do any swirling onto him, try and get some of the suppression. It looks like Urantian now going to be under heat. Has his heal available. Has Celestial Avatar as well. Is going to be able to pop into that, but SupQutie was plus over at the mansion. We could see Astral take the side notes here and still hold on to mid.
Look at Toker taken down there by Bob, but SupQutie is going to rally him very quickly, and Bob's not going to be able to finish the job there. Track is extremely low. Is Bob going to be able to pull out a 1v2 here, as both of these guys are kind of low on cooldowns here? A little bit
I don't know. He needs to land a Surge in the Mist onto one of them. Uses his heal. I don't know if he's going to be able to keep this up. Should be able to stay alive until SupQutie gets here and get, be in a favorable 2v2.
I don't know about that, man. That's going to be rough. I mean, he does have a couple of evades there coming from that unrelenting assault, and SupQutie might be able to.
Yeah, he's here, so he should be okay. And it looks like Toker's actually going to leave this one, leave him Track to die, rather. There's no way Track's getting out of this one alive. I'm not so sure about that one. Track overstaying is welcome, but Zeromus was eliminated at the clock tower here, and that's going to be kind of a boost in favor of this team. But now we have the nodes going to be favoring Final Form. We saw a 2-cap from Astro. Now it's going to be Final Form taking the side nodes as they did in the last game. And it looks like Fanaram going to be able to pick up a decap over. No, he doesn't. Urantian gets on the node just in time there, able to reveal himself with an attack and still hold on to the windmill.
Yeah, and he's going to get pressured, though, and perhaps Ozzy's going to be able to hold on to this one for them. And still, I mean, Final Form doing such a good job of holding this 2-cap, controlling these side nodes, and just kind of sustaining the mid-fight, forcing Astral to believe that this mid means a lot more than it actually does to them, forcing them to kind of rotate a little bit too much to it. And now Nas taken out as they did try to pull out, try to overcompensate for that 2-cap that's currently in Final Form's favor, and now they're definitely going to be able to pull off that stomp. And
yeah, that actually gets SupQutie back up into the fight now. Oh, no, SupQutie is actually taken down by Toker. It looked like he was back up for a moment there. He's going to be taken down. Toker going to be able to get the decap at the mansion potentially, unless Bob's able to get there with the phase reversal. He might actually go for the res here.
Yeah,
Toker's in no position. Oh, maybe he still wants to go for it. Doesn't have his heal up and glint for a few seconds now, so Toker going to try and harass and do what he can. Fanaram coming here, using
Bob's
the blink to get there.
Stat 5 if he needs it, but of course with Fanaram there, I'm not sure about this. It looks like they're going to have Zeromus come over as well.
Oh, he gets mowed, but he gets mowed while the heal is in play. The thing is that this mow
is only 6 seconds long,
True.
and he has Rite of the Great Dwarf on him, so he's not actually going to be taking any pressure at that stage right now. So he's going to be looking instead to try to take Toker out, but Toker returns fire on him, taking Bob out. 1-cap in favor of Astral with that kill. They have now
they just turned it all around.
Yeah, completely pivotal moment for them right here. Getting that 2-cap, forcing the fight over on this mansion. They have control of this node right now. As soon as they can get a couple more ticks, they will have the cap. But I mean, in terms of overall control, they have it, and now this is a 3-cap in favor of Astral.
That is a horrendous move on Final Form. They had Nos down at mid. They had map pressure all over the place. Had sides, potentially a decap at mid, but I don't even know if overcommitted is the right word for it at that mansion node. They just lost where I really don't think they should have. I feel like Bob maybe should have just let SupQutie bleed out there, because it felt like he took too much unnecessary pressure, and they're going to be able to get that node back, but at what cost? Their entire lead there.
Yeah, and it's going to take a long time to whittle that one down, because their whole thing is just kind of based on just sustain. I mean, that's basically their whole thing.
Fanaram picking up a decap with ease. SupQutie not paying attention, able to use his portal in time, and now Zeromus is under so much heat at mid. Does have his Shroud as backup health, but outside of this, he is very vulnerable to both Wakey and Nasir in this 2v2. And it looks like just all over the map, health pool is definitely in favor of Astral, but Toker Trackful rather, in the 1v1 with Urantian. They took the lead now and are starting to build it with this 2-cap.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, they're going to be, Final Four is going to be extremely hard pressed to try to turn this one back around. 2-cap in favor of Astral. We're seeing them not really kind of take advantage of the same things that we saw them take before with Ozzy and Yura, just kind of sustaining together and really taking advantage of that double support and making sure that the pressure is just all on that midpoint. That's a decap while they control the side nodes. That's what we saw a lot of before with them taking the lead, but they just really haven't done that at this stage, and they are not able to answer the combo that is Wakey and Nos together here. Fanaram and Toker adding to that as well as needed. So, I mean, really, Astro has been able to turn this one back around completely here, and we're seeing the effects of that on Bob, who is dropped so easily, and it looks like they're going to be trying to get the pressure down on him as well, and Sup Cutie Ozzy both going to be trying for a res.
Well, they're just losing guys all over the map. Urantian somehow gets himself back up near the red team's base. I'm not so sure how he even went down all the way over there. They're just losing people unnecessarily. I don't even think that Bob should be down here, given the fact that it wasn't like it was a huge and hugely in favor of Astral or anything, and they're still holding on to the 2-cap, still building that lead, almost at a 100-point lead. Pick up the decap over at the Mansion 2. They sent both Nos and Fanaram back there to deal with Sup Cutie, and that's going to be a 3-cap once again for Astral as they continue to build this lead. Toker, however, does get taken down at the clock tower. Can they finish him off? Looks like so. I don't think they're going to be able to get the res, but is it too late now for Final Form to get back into this?
This is certainly a great pickup for them. I mean, a lot of the damage pressure that has been across the entire map, especially if they're able to get Track and Nos, who are both getting kind of dangerously low here. If Zeromus can take this fight on the clock tower by himself, they can then peel out, help Sup Cutie first of all, and then certainly try to take out Nos, who's incredibly low here. He's getting down to 9k HP, doesn't have too much left here, going for that elite with chill to the bone. Sup Cutie's still incredibly low, and it looks like they might be able to take out Nos, and they do indeed. Fanaram extremely low as well, but he's rotating over towards that mid fight. If Zeromus sees it early enough, he might be able to pick that kill up as well. But still, 400 points now. Almost 400 points, just a second away here for Astral.
Ooh.
Decaps on the other 2 points. Fanaram extremely low, although the MOA comes out on Zeromus. That is going to take him down to about 20%. A Condi transfer comes out onto Fanaram, and Fanaram has his heal, but not a lot else. Yeah. Although Wakey's able to keep him back up for now.
That's just a rough move on the side. I mean, Urantian looked for the decap, was followed up by Trackful. As Nos off respawn, going to be an easy, contention there. And it looks like Toker actually going for a decap as well. It looks like Sup Cutie able to defend this one with the portal himself, 75 points away from a victory in this set from Astral, potentially avoiding a huge scare from Final Form, who desperately need this win now. And it looks like Urantian not able to pick up the decap, not going to get a whole lot of help. Ozzy making his way back here, not exactly sure what their communication was on that. And Clock Tower still decapped, but they have to get something done over at the windmill. They have to win Clock Tower, otherwise it's going to be too late with 3:30 remaining here.
Yeah, Zeromus is dangerously low here outside of Reaper Shroud. As soon as this goes down, it's going to be curtains for him for sure. And Wakey and Fanaram are both on top of him, just relentless with the pressure. And I mean, looking at midpoint, I mean, no real support coming out for Final Form on this point for the time being, and you need to have that with Zeromus. You need to have that kind of like bodyguard aspect going with this, or else that Necro is just too easy to train down. They're going to pick up a triple kill once again here for Astral, and now it's just, I think it's just moments away from this thing degrading to the point where Astral is just going to be basically just battering down on these guys here for the latter half of the game.
I don't even know what went through Final Form's head there when they started to throw the game. All came down to one pivotal moment, really. They had both side nodes. They took Nos down at the mid, and everything just crashed and burned right on top of them. Poor rotations back to that home node. Weren't even able to defend it at that. Spent way too much time trying to get back into the game at that node as a whole, and unfortunately going to end up dropping this third game here. What looked like a potential miracle for Final Form, almost ending their hopes for the season finals, not quite pushing them out of contention 100%. It's going to be very difficult for them to get back into this. I believe it would take PZ going 0-3 for the remainder of the season, which is very unlikely at that.
The ability to go into that Berserk mode with that longbow and just throw down fire fields, it's going to bring a lot more consistent damage, certainly a little bit more spike. You're also going to have a little bit of problems going with those rotations, but I still think it's an interesting choice. I think Sunfish will do well with it.
And you're able to do that every 2.5 seconds with that primal burst. And it looks like opening splits coming out here. 3-point push for both of these teams now, as we have Schnicki going in the 1v1 against Olrun. Olrun trying to get the upper hand right away with his bristleback, or excuse me, with the smoke scale. On the other side of the map, Bear looking for the 1v1 with Physics. So already going to have all 3 nodes contested here. Both teams potentially looking for a very long, drawn-out game just from the start and what I see thus far.
Yeah, but Brenzo actually already had some of his cooldowns forced out there by Feov, who just opened him up completely, and now Feov looks like he's trying to take him down even lower now. Glint heal with a 6-second cooldown. Feov actually gets a huge stun on him, now taking some return pressure, though, from that unrelenting assault, and Feov now needs to make sure he's not going a little bit too aggressive, because we have seen that in the past where that has come back to haunt this team. So it's going to be up to him to play a little bit more defensively. They're in a 2v3. There's an Ellie on this point. You can't get too aggressive now and run out of cooldowns too early.
Duck using his chill to the bone while Feov was blocking. Kind of a wasted cooldown there. Feov actually taken down, and it looks like he's going to be stomped out. The first points of the game going in favor of Spooky, surprisingly enough. Now Stalacta is under a lot of heat, forced a lightning flash up top. Is able to channel his heal, get that one off. Rebound as well, forced all that stuff up. Does have the Obsidian Flesh available to try and keep himself alive a little bit longer. Good pressure coming out here from Brenslow. And real question is, can he finish it off? Because Stalacta should have a couple cooldowns up in a matter of moments.
Yeah, we're actually seeing Schnicki get incredibly low. We did see the cap actually come out onto Hinge, and Schnicki's going to get chased out here by Feov, and they're going to be able to pull off that kill there, as well as get that point. Now that looks like
there's
across
2
the
guys
board,
down,
yeah.
3 guys down on the side of Never Lucky. Bear was taken out in the roads. Stalacta taken down at mid. So is Sunfish. Cast is just going to let these guys bleed out. What is this? A 2-cap on Spooky's side.
Man.
This is a really good opening from them. I don't think on their end you could have asked for a better start.
Yeah, I'm not really sure why Feov actually pulled out of that one to try to help out that 1v1 with Olrun. I mean, Olrun probably was going to win that regardless. I don't really know why they had to force that that 2v1. So again, a couple of small mistakes from this team that very much hurt them in the long term. We don't want to see that for them at all. As I mean, otherwise, this is a pretty strong team, and they keep making these mistakes over and over again.
And it looks like Olrun now caught himself in a little bit of a bad spot at the mid node in a 1v2 with Duck and Brenslow. Those are the 2 people you don't want to be in a 1v2. I'd say highest damage dealers here on that side. Now Olrun going to be taken down by Brenslow. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, it looks like Physics is getting a little bit low, but has Schnicki trying to keep him alive, trying to do what he can in terms of team support. Physics taken super low. It looks like Feov and Stalacta going to be able to take him out, going in for the stomp. Sneak Gyro coming out, though. Schnicki forced into the Elixir S now. They're able to get him back up. Cast is now in the mix as well. Really good heals coming out from Cast. They like that rotation a lot. Brenslow, however, taken out in the roads by Sunfish and Bear, and Duck is going to follow as well. This is a turnaround in favor of Never Lucky at this mid note, but can they pull it off here?
Yeah, Bear has been able to hold on here, and he looks like he's going to be going back up to that midpoint. Sunfish actually going up as well. I don't think they need to have both of these guys do it, but it looks like Bear is just going to go ahead and take that portal back over towards the mine here, get into a little 1v1 with Schnicki. Schnicki has actually been doing quite well so far in these 1v1s with the NG here. And it looks like they're going to instead opt to take out Cast, who's now at about 10% HP, locked down and eliminated.
I don't know what he was hoping to do there. He was going into that mid node alone. He already blew his lightning flash, almost back up after that fight had ended, but I really don't know what he was trying to accomplish. The rest of his team wasn't even around. Brenslow wasn't even on the map, it felt like. He just got off respawn, I think, and he's now looking to make a solo push towards mid. Actually, he's going to have some help from Physics, who's potentially looking to get on Cast, but now Physics might drop himself, forced to use that portal. I feel like these guys are kind of all over the place. Doesn't even get through the portal in time. Feov might follow into the downstate as well, but that's not going to happen. It looks like plenty of team support to keep him up, and Spooky slowly falling apart here at the keep. Going to be forced back to the mine node.
Yeah, and this is a quick turnaround. Look at the heal coming out here as well, getting Bear back up. Feov going to be a little bit aggressive. Try to force that tape line back a little bit, get his team through that doorway, and works wonders for them, able to get all the way through. And Brenslow taking a lot of pressure already. Feov is I mean, look at all the condies on him right now at about 10% HP. He needs help right now. That glint heal is getting pretty close to being able to come off, and just enough support coming out there from Stalagta to keep him up long enough for that glint heal to come back out. And look how healthy they are now. Physics, though, over on the hinge here in a 1v1 with Ulrun. Ulrun handling this fight. I mean, absolutely handling this fight.
The 3-cap going to give Never Lucky the first lead of the game, and it looks like Physics bringing out the gravity well with the continuum split. They're really not able to do a whole lot onto Ulrun. This is the, kind of that point where maybe Moa was the better, tool to take, despite the nerf to it down to 6 seconds. That might have definitely helped him try to get a decap here, at least force Ulrun off the node. Meanwhile, down below the keep Feov in the downstate, so is Brenslow. Brenslow gets back up thanks to the stomp onto Feov, still under a lot of heat himself, needs to be careful, and it looks like they're still being 2-capped here, Heroics, but really not able to get anything going off. Look at where they're splitting to. They're not even regrouping as a team. They're splitting off 4 different directions here and gonna kind of crumble because of it. They're really not gonna take advantage of this situation. Bear still taken down here.
Yeah, and he's going to be cleaved out for sure here, as we are seeing actually Duck taken down as well. That's going to get rallied, though, very quickly as Bear falls. And Sunfish is kind of in a really bad spot right now, though Ulrun's coming in to try to force them back and give Sunfish a little bit of room to breathe here. He's going to be going back up to the midpoint. We're going to see a big team fight here, actually, probably off the node a little bit, as Red Team is just charging around, trying to keep Brenslow up, as Feov has been. I mean, Feov has Brenslow's number this entire game.
He really has, and look at the aggression from Never Lucky. Duct Tape taken into the downstate. Physics was able to pick up a decap, but off respawn, he is going to be bent by Bear, and they attempted at a res on the Duck, but that's not going to happen. Too many condies, too much power pressure from Feov as well, and it looks like they're still going for it, but Schnicky takes a little bit of heat in the process. He doesn't have a whole lot available to him, does use that sneak gyro, trying to bail out of this node as Ulrun looking for a decap. Schnicky should be able to keep up with him unless Ulrun gets a significant advantage with the Ancestral Grace, but I doubt he's going to be able to get the full cap on, or decap on that node. Meanwhile, at mid, it looks like Never Lucky will pick up the full cap here and continue to build this lead, I'd say.
Yeah, Cass was just eliminated there by Feov. Stalagta going for that stomp, but he's just going to opt to get over to that point. Stalagta probably just going to go for that stomp so he can rotate back out of here. So that is going to be the case. They're up 40 points right now, 1-to-1 cap here, as Bear is going to rotate over and probably portal back in just a matter of time here as he waits to see if Physics will actually...
Ooh, Duck taken down though. Feov able to use that glint heal. He will be safe, will be protected for the time being. 740 remaining. There's the 268 to 223 in favor of Never Lucky, holding on to a slim lead now. Starting to look better and better for them as Schnicky is about to go down. Duck is off the board here. Blue taking that mine point. They did end up losing mid in the process, but Bear might be able to cap that one. He is actually, oh man, he portals back. Oh, the portal back from Physics as well. Doesn't even end up getting a cap. He's going to be levying himself in a 1v2. I think that was a poor decision on Bear to come back through that portal. He should have kept himself in the 1v1 with Physics.
Yeah, I have to agree, and he's going to run out of cooldowns here. Looks like Physics going to be going for that free stomp, and that is going to connect. Bear going to be falling here. Only 40 points difference between these two teams, and we have seen a lot of kills, a lot of lethality across the board here so far. Feov now at about 60% HP. Does have that glint heal ready to go if he needs it, but he's going to decide to put some of that pressure down onto Duck. More than likely, it's actually he's going to be peeling out Brenslow all over him right now, trying to maybe return some of that, or try to return with a little vengeance onto Feov here, who's been all over Brenslow the entire game as it's been so far. And look at that burst.
Decision strike. Takes about 30% of his HP. Now getting help from Ulrun. There's not a whole lot of Brenslow can do about this right here, especially with Physics trying to help him out, but still a 1 cap apiece for both these teams. Not too much of a gap in terms of the point advantage, but it really feels like overall the flow of energy has been in favor of Never Lucky. They just need to get something going in their favor at this mid node to try and take a 2 cap for themselves. But Ulrun forcing himself into a 1v2 here, trying to give his team the advantage at the mid node. But will it pay off? Will his death, inevitably, he will die here. Will it pay off for them at mid?
Well, not quite yet. A lot of support coming out. Feov taken down pretty low here. Ulrun actually was just stomped over here at the hinge. Physics able to eliminate him. Duck still taking just, I mean, look at the damage coming out from this warrior after the Moa hit, and he's going to be dropped so easily now. Schnicki going to be trying for that res. It is going to come up.
He was stealth from that sneak draw. Here's the decap from Brenslow as well to the mine point off respawn. It looks like Olrun is going for it, but he made a misdirection. Yeah, that was wrong move. He should have went back to the edge, but Schnicki is going to go right through the portal and meet Olrun off the respawn. Are they able to pick up the full cap at the mine node? Doesn't look like quite so, as they ever so slowly claw their way back into this game. 5:10 remaining on the clock here. This is still anybody's to take.
Yeah, Duck still receiving just unrelenting pressure here from this warrior. Slag going to be sticking with Sunfish now. So essentially the same duo that we're used to seeing, just changing a little bit with Sunfish, opting for a little bit more pressure coming out of that warrior as opposed to the Necromancer, which opts a little bit more for some of that sustain. And
it looks like Schnicki was met by two members, Feov and Olrun, over at that Henge node. And Brenslow now going for the 1v1 against Bear. That means they had the advantage at mid, but Physics is actually going to plus this against Bear because that did not favor. Oh, Brenslow actually taken down here. There's the gravity well with continuous split coming out from Physics. Isn't enough to get his teammate back up. It looks like it is nice knockback in the downstate from Brenslow onto Bear. Now this is going to be made a 2v2. Still the one cap ticking in favor of Never Lucky here. Now look at Bear. Bear is under a whole lot of heat. He's going to be taken in the downstate. Can't fail, return fire, do anything about this. Looks like he's going to opt to bail out of this node and go towards that mid fight, as Olrun's starting to move here and looking for the res himself. Are they able to hold this one off? Physics going in for the stomp. There's the knockback. The knockback doesn't even land from Brenslow. It didn't look like he knocked him back at all for the most part there. And they're going to be able to get him back up in the fight, and Physics taking down the process. What a turnaround for Never Lucky.
Yeah, Physics and Brenslow both down here. Duck not in a really good spot here, as, I mean, two members of this Never Lucky team are going to be able to barrel down on him very, very soon. Feov surely going to be going for that teleport, and, I mean, the burn is going to stack up rather quickly with Sunfish now in that Berserker form, so it's up to Cass to try to keep him alive, and that is not going to last too long. They absolutely bury Duck there, and Stalacta is going to get that stomp. Sunfish rotating off, and they're going to be trying to cover up that point that they just lost over at the Henge. Maybe turn this map back around here. They do have that 70-point lead, but surely this is not as far ahead as I think they wanted to be against this Team Spooky.
This is nothing to settle for if I'm Never Lucky right now. Giving up 300+ points to an 0-4 Team Spooky, who they looked past when talking with Olrun in week 4. Just want to reiterate that, because you can't look past any team, I'd say, in the Pro League. Even though they have a firm grip on the remainder of this game, any team is potent to be able to take a game off any other team. We've seen that so far.
I mean, at this stage, especially with Never Lucky, they shouldn't be overlooking anything with their track, I mean, with their the way that they've basically kind of thrown some games that they should have had in the bag. With their lack of consistency, I mean, they really need to make sure that they're covering all their bases, and right now Olrun gets dropped there. The way that, I mean, they switch things so often. That's, I think, an issue with them, is that they always switch things around. I mean, they have a new player here, Bear, over Steel. Granted, they have played with Bear in the past, actually with Season 1. He's still coming into a new kind of organization with Sunfish this time around. So, I mean, there is some new dynamics that he needs to get used to as a player. They also have a new composition with Olrun picking up that Ranger. Certainly, he doesn't feel as comfortable on that as he would something else like an Engineer. And the most obvious, Sunfish on the Warrior, one of those things that we're still not really sure how we feel about it, especially in the competitive environment, the top tier competitive environment especially.
100%.
It just doesn't feel as holistically strong as some of the other options.
Even with all of those things you just said, it still feels like Never Lucky should have had a more impressive performance on that. And you got to give it to Spooky, putting up 360+ points in a matter of moments. There's the kill that comes out onto Chieftain. 361 to 512 in favor of Never Lucky, game number 1. As we head on to Legacy of the Fofire for our match number 2 between Never Lucky and Spooky here. Take a look at the opening splits. Physics heading over to the Quarry, a very defensive split from Never Lucky. Right away, putting a lot of pressure towards that waterfall, making sure Schnicki isn't able to contest that for as long as he did at the start of the first game now. Schnicki is going to be meeting 3 members here. He's going to be under a lot of fire.
Yeah, and he's on that Engineer, so he does have a good amount of damage reduction, especially with that Bulwark Gyro. And he's looking to go ahead and aggress towards Sunfish, but Sunfish has so much Condi pressure. Look at the damage on him. Oh,
wow.
Man. Schnicky was, eliminated so fast there. They're going to be able to get that decap, or actually the full cap, rather.
Run, though, taken out in the roads as well, towards that quarry node. So that's going to be a 1 cap apiece, and 4 members against 4 here on the map for the next 15 seconds or so. As those 2 players make their way back into the fights. Decent surge and miss from Sveoff, but he actually gets taken down pretty low by Brenslow. Now, we actually have the gravity well come out from Physics, a decently placed one, but I still think it is the way to go on that end. I don't know if gravity well is going to be able to make as big of an impact as he may hope for it to, but it seems to be his favorite thing. And Duck actually taken down there by the unrelenting assault from Feoff. Bear going in for the easy stomp, and that will be Brenslow down as well. This is a pretty good opening here for Never Lucky.
Yeah, Brenslow actually pretty low. Does get that Glint heal off, so he's going to be safe for a couple more seconds until Sunfish decides that maybe it's time to bomb him. We saw how ridiculous that can be if he lines all that up perfectly, but at the moment, he's the one under fire here. He does not land that headbutt, but still a lot of AoE pressure coming out. And look at the damage on these 2 guys. I mean, they're forced to kind of play really defensively against Sunfish because of the damage that he could provide in some turns. I mean, they really have to be kind of wary of that.
As they hold on to this 2 cap now, Never Lucky starting to build a very small lead in the early stages of this game. Bear drops a portal. Gonna actually head back to this mid node, uses his heal, trying to get Feoff to safety as well. He is gonna be okay, thanks to that Shiro teleport. And now it looks like some pressure going onto Brenslow now. Doesn't look like they right away went onto him, and it looks like now he's going to be under some heat. Cat's going to be able to get here in time and try and give him some heals as well. As we also have Physics making his way. That's going to be about a 50-point lead here early on in this game. And Spook, oh, there's a nice portal from Bear. I like it. Is it enough, though? Oh, man, it doesn't look like Physics was paying attention, and he will end up giving up their only node this game.
Yeah, and Sunfish made quick work of Schnicky as well over on the waterfall. 2 cap now in favor of Team Never Lucky, and looking like it's actually going to be a 3 cap, and it is indeed, with Brenslow still trying to get that res from his teammates, but they're going to be forced to pull off as Duck is getting pressured so much right now. Orun, it definitely needs to get off his heel, does indeed manage to pull that one off. And there, I mean, this is quickly becoming the Never Lucky that we were looking for before.
I'm left in awe at what Physics didn't do with that portal. Now he portals back. He could have gotten his teammates to safety. It wouldn't have made them spread out like they currently are. He could have got back to that node time. Could have used that portal for multiple things. And ends up getting a decap, but still not really, I wouldn't say that was a brilliant portal by any means. And going to end up being in a 2v1 now against both Stalacta and Orun, but she's probably going to lose. Schnicky, however, picks up a decap over at the waterfall, going to be met by Duck and Sunfish. So looking for the 2v1 in their favor here. Thunderclap really not going to land, not going to do a whole lot there to Sunfish as he gets on the node in time, but how is he going to be able to deal with these guys as the warrior is the real question here.
Yeah, I mean, he actually did quite a good job before, although with the Necro this time that he has to answer to, it's going to be a lot harder for him to pull off. I mean, the pressure that he's able to put out is certainly going to come right back in his face if he can't keep up the resistance here, and it looks like he's going to be able to manage to do just that for at least long enough to get some support from his teammates, perhaps.
True. I don't like the fact that he was in Berserk and he used Berserker stance. He had so much Condi cleanse, there was really no reason. I'd say maybe he was just going for the extra ticks to be able to put out more damage there, but I guess in the end he's really not under a whole lot of pressure as is, so he will be okay in this fight. It's going to be going in favor of Never Lucky. It looks like his Duck in the downstate actually gets rezzed by his teammates now. Feoff under a whole lot of heat himself, needs to be very careful now. Uses his shield block, but isn't enough to keep him up. Unrelenting Assault going to give him some dodges for the time being. Goes straight through the portal. Duck, however, taken into the downstate over here, going in for the res. Get him back up once again. Feoff goes back through the portal. Oh, and gets back through once again, just at the last second. Thankfully for him and the rest of his team, they will get it out of that waterfall safely. That could have been a disaster.
Yeah, you know his team's probably a little bit mad at him for that one going back through unnecessarily, and now they have to pull off of that point. And they really should have been able to stick in that one a little bit longer and try to sustain that. Sunfish now going to try to push that and maybe take another 1v1 against Schnicky. We have to remember before he was pretty successful in doing that one. However, Duck looks like he's going to be trying to add to this, and it looks like Sunfish is just going to be met with so much condition pressure, still able to get that burst cleanse off there. through that resistance, so not a whole lot of damage taken, and now he's going to be taking that 1v1 that I was talking about against Schnicki. A lot of pressure coming out from this guy. I expect him to win this one.
Outnumbered all over the map because Brenzlo was taken down in the road, stuck now. Forced to use the portal back. Cast actually goes through it as well. They're looking for the 3v1 against Orun. No, they're going to use Cast back to the midpoint of all people. You're sending Cast. I guess Cast wants to make a rotation towards the waterfall to try and help out Schnicki in the 1v1, and it looks like he'll actually be able to get there in time. They're actually going to leave him alone. Is Brenzlo going to come here as well, make this a 3v2 if I'm not mistaken. It looks like both elementalists actually engaged in something near the mid node. Still one cap in favor of Never Luck here. 270 to 117 with just under 9 minutes remaining. This is looking a much better game on their end.
Yeah, and Sunfish is in that Berserk form over here on the waterfall in this fight. Schnicki taken down pretty low here as he is the primary target. It looks like they're going to be swapping instead to Brenzlo. And they're trying to get Schnicki down now as Schnicki does go into that S. There's a couple of bleed stacks on him, going to be taking him a little bit lower in the meantime, but he is going to be able to get that healing turret off, and Sunfish, being out of Berserk now, is going to have a hard time trying to pick Feav back up or put out any kind of pressure to pull those guys off that body.
He does have it available now, looking for some Condi pressure onto Schnicki. Schnicki does have his gyro out if he needs to be able to get out of this one for, you know, does get kind of dangerous here. He's actually going to be in the 1v2. This looks like it's going to be in favor of Spooky, going to be able to take that waterfall node back for themselves. Still a 2-cap ticking in favor of the blue team. Never Lucky holding on to a very dominant lead, over 200 points now. Going to end up losing the waterfall, but they're going to be okay. Not going to be able to, you know, get too much of a lead in favor of Spooky, or anything back for Spooky rather, as they continue to fall behind in this game, and really looking good for Never Lucky moving towards the end of this one.
Yeah, Physics rotating into this fight, though, with about 30% HP, is going to be going over towards that quarry node, but still so low. Cass going to be able to get him up a little bit higher, maybe long enough for him to get off that heal, and it looks like that continuum split is going to keep Physics alive with that heal coming up as well, although Cass right now going to be certainly getting that. Oh, Physics moved out of it. Didn't even get that heal off because
why Physics is feeling like he needs to re-engage in this fight right here. He's actually taking a lot of pressure. After that Blurred Frenzy, he might actually fall down. Did have that distortion available, trying to put out more damage. This is a very risky situation for him. He does have a lot of cooldowns actually back up for him, but Spooky taking a 2-cap now on both the sides, making an aggressive push towards mid. That's very risky on their end, but kind of a last-ditch effort if you ask me, as Feav now taken down fairly low here at mid. He's trying to get on top of Physics. Physics continuing to get heals from the rest of his team and keeping himself alive. Props on that end as Duck now moving in here. There's the Moa from Bear landing onto Physics. They're able to take him down finally once and for all. Are they able to finish him off? It looks like so. Not enough rezzing power coming out there from Spooky, who lose the 2-cap and probably going to end up losing this fight at the graveyard.
Yeah, Schnicki in this 1v1 yet again, the 1v1 that we see so very often, although we are going to be seeing Brenzlo plus this one up. Stalacta rotating in to try to keep Sunfish alive so that he can just kind of keep on the pressure. And that is going to be probably in favor of the blue team this time around on the waterfall. And they do have one more tick left until this is capped out. So they really kind of want to at least push this cap up, because that will do wonders in making sure that they actually pull out a victory here. Stalacta actually taking a lot of pressure, though, from both Schnicki and Brenzlo, although both of these guys are at about half HP, and Stalacta certainly has a lot more sustained than these two guys, especially with Sunfish all over Schnicki here, forcing the S. A couple of Condis still going on him, but Feav going to be able to finish that one off with a quick swap on the equilibrium, forcing him into downstate. Ooh, and probably Brenzlo, with this 3-cap, forcing the win in Never Lucky's favor as well.
Yeah, Cast and Physics, the only ones remaining at the graveyard, which is, of course, in favor of Never Lucky. 3-cap for them, hitting that 450 point mark with just 520 remaining on the clock. To 193 of Spooky. Definitely a much more, you know, kind of coordinated attempt by Never Lucky to take this game overall, not even allowing 200 points on the side of Spooky. Still a valiant effort on their end, just not quite able to do what they did in the last game, as Cast is going to be eliminated at the graveyard here. And that will be game number 2 going in favor of Never Lucky, 502 to 193. We'll have to see game number 1 between Team PZ and Gems and Tonic about to begin here on the Forest of Niflhel. Let's take a look at some opening splits as we have Muffins looking for a cross now. Couple of guys, actually all 4 of them stealth on the sides of Gems and Tonic. They're actually just going to avoid Muffins, not even deal with him, look for the 1-2-2 on their end, and look for a fairly aggressive push here. Going to be met by both Java and Paul over here at the mine node.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how I feel about Tout on that Wanderers as opposed to the Mercenary Amulet. I feel like he's giving too much stock and, you know, his ability to deal with some of these condition classes. And even K-Pud is just ruining his day right now. And he's not even fighting someone who's Kandi. He's fighting someone who's going to be power damage. And he's running that amulet that goes versus that power. And, you know, hoping that his Elementalist can cleanse for him here. That's certainly what they're trying for, but K-Pud has been able to do a lot of work against him so far.
Tao really hasn't been able to put out a whole lot of pressure just yet. Dalton already eliminated by Muffins in the 1v1 over at the Hinge node. That's not a good sign at the start of this game if you're Gems and Tonic, as they are going to give the first points of the game over, or excuse me, not the first points of the game, some points over in favor of Team PZ, their first points of this game. Java, however, over here at the mine point, looking for some pressure onto Devil the Mist, not quite able to get anywhere just yet, as he gets some great heals from Zerko on the Ranger now. Still, that will give Team PZ the lead as they start to build it up with the Henge cap here. What do you see about, you know, Zerko going in this 2v2 with Devil the Mist? I feel like this is going to favor Java and Paul in the end, just due to their experience overall.
Yeah, Tao just so much pressure on them. They're certainly going to win that matchup. Muffins helping out with that one. And now Zeus going to be going for that stomp. It is going to connect, despite the fact that Muffins did portal out of that one just to stop that decap coming out from Dilton. I mean, they are just murdering this team right now. PZ playing so well at the moment, and they're going to get that 2-cap probably over on this keep here with Zeus on the point. Doesn't look like that Mesmer is going to be able to make it there.
He's retreated backwards, didn't actually get his turn around, unfortunately, and I don't even think he would have been able to get on that node in time anyways, maybe, but looks like he might end up dying regardless. Zuko trying to get him some support against K-Pud here. Oh man, Zeus actually leaving in the 1v2. Okay, so now Zeus is going to come back here, knows that K-Pud probably not going to be able to take out these guys in the 1v2. That'd be a very tough matchup. Java, however, over here at the mine point, gets hit with a Surge and Miss by Devil of the Mist himself. There's the cap at the mine point for Gems and Tonic, who are being 2-capped themselves. And Java needs to be very careful. Does have that Reaper Shroud available, but outside of this, does get taken down there by Devil of the Mist. And I don't think he's getting back up after that one.
Yeah, Paul looks like he's going to try to get the res off, and he gets it just in time, right before the stomp comes out with that traded search and rescue, and that is going to keep him back alive.
What Devil of the Mist was doing there? He just sat behind him, didn't do anything for them. I don't even think he was interrupted by that matter, and just gets taken down. Or gets back up into the fight, rather. I didn't like that move by Devil of the Mist. Didn't apply any pressure whatsoever onto that down body. And Java down once again here, trying to put out some pressure this time around, as they are, actually it's being turned back onto Tao over there at the Henge node. They are going to be able to eliminate Java here, finally, but I think that should have been done over at the mine point.
Yeah, Muffins is taking it to Tao right now. Tao, again, doesn't have that Mercenary's Amulet, so he's not going to have as much vitality to deal with some of these conditions that happen over time. He's now trying to get a big burst out on Muffins, and does indeed land it, forcing Muffins now with the rotation from their Dalton to probably have to back out and try to get around here. Although, look at the damage coming out onto Tao. Gets obliterated, and he's going to be trying to put some pressure down, forcing Dalton off of this, but I think the stomp won't connect, certainly, and Tao is going to be back up. Muffins now forced to rotate off, but still a really good turnaround burst there from Muffins to get Mr. Tao down and force some of that pressure off himself so he could get away. Just enough time for Muffins to come over, or sorry, K-Pud to come over and get some peels for him as well.
Zerko actually taking down over at the mine point. That's going to go in favor of Team PZ, who are going to continue to hold on to that mine node. Take a 2-cap. This will be over a 150-point lead now in favor of Team PZ. 10:45 remaining on the clock as we continue to see them surge through the competition now. Tao has been under so much heat from K-Pud all game long, and once again being met at this mid node, who lands the headbutt, really not able to follow up on any pressure at all. Is K-Pud just going to get rid of those Condis with ease. Has Zeus here to cleanse them as well. So if Zeus is around K-Pud, Tao really not going to be able to do anything, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and Tao just took a hefty burst again here, and he's going to be healed back up by Zuko. K-Pud taking a lot of pressure now, but Devil over at the crossroads was eliminated by Java there with the poison. Java going to be bleeding him out. His teammates really don't need him right now, so he can kind of just force the kill off on Devil, who's actually trying to self-res. Not really sure why, although he does actually end it there. And the mid fight is still a 2v2 between Tao and Zuko and K-Pud and Zeus right now.
This could be a 3-cap. We saw Muffins take on Dolton with ease at the start of this game now as this lead is just surging in favor of Team PZ. I think we're going to have a 3-cap in a matter of moments. There's really nothing Dolton is able to do against Muffins. His vast amount of experience just outweighs Dolton heavily here, and Muffins just continuing to prove that if Dolton is met with this matchup, man, drop the portal and run. You're not going to beat Zeus unless you get the plus like you did right there. You did get the plus onto him, but even so, that's not a matchup I don't think Dolton's going to be able to take against Zeus.
Yeah,
excuse me, Muffins, excuse me.
Yeah, he's trying extremely hard to take it versus Muffins, but Muffins has proven himself as one of the better Mesmers in NA right now. I mean, we definitely lacked a lot of Mesmer talent in NA, but a couple of guys have stepped forward, Muffins being one of those players that have really kind of stepped up and, you know, filled that gap a little bit and has done well for PZ and really kind of taken it to some of the some of the more, I guess, natural historical players like SupCutie, Fanaram being another example of that. But looks like Dolton is going to be able to get this cap. But I mean, they're 200 points down at this stage. PZ is still doing so well of getting these peels and holding them at this gate point here. And Devil right now forced back through that little archway as he's just getting pressured so hard. And they've been doing a great job, PZ, of managing this map control across the board.
K-Pud trying to deal with Zerko in the back lines here. It's actually good for Zerko, I'd say, able to keep K-Pud away from Tao and actually keep him out of some of those fights. But ultimately, it's just kind of, it's not really doing anything, I'd say, as Team PZ continues to rack in the points. Huge surge of miss, 7,200 at the end there. Even with that 15% damage reduction we saw in the latest patch here. It's still doing a lot of damage, really helping get down Zerko, who's actually taken into the downstate there. K-Pud looking for a knockback onto Tao. Really not going to need it. He will eventually be finished off. Doesn't have a whole lot to deal with these conditions now. Not even able to get a heal or anything, and much resistance for that matter. Trying to keep himself alive with Cleansing Ire. Java going to keep on top of him, but his end will be met in a matter of moments as Paul going to get the stomp onto Zerko here. Dolton around the map as well, dropping a portal at mid. Going to be taken out by K-Pud and Zeus, and that will be the end of his reign at the keep.
Yeah, and Tao needs to be careful because a well-timed Sephiroth corruption will just murder him when he has that Berserker stance up, and he took a little bit of a hefty tick there when Java was able to corrupt that off of him. Just for one Condi tick was enough there to get him down just a little bit further and force that death, and now Java is going to be able to just kind of stick on this point. They have control over it. He's just going to bleed him out. They're looking extremely good across the map. They have that 2-cap, forcing them over towards that far node once again. This is the definition of map control.
Muffin's going to finish off Chieftain potentially. I had a few troubles with him getting knocked down at the start, but of course that can happen to anybody. And he will be taking it down with ease. On the other side of the map, we have Java going for the same kill himself, uncontested, nobody even close to him. Should be able to get that with ease. Extra 25-point boost in their favor to, swiftly, finish up this game here.
Yeah, Devil is going to be eliminated here. Dolton taking a little bit of pressure as well. 476 as Java was able to just pick off that other boss, and now it's just moments away with that 2-cap. There's no turning this one back around at all. PZ, a dominant performance on this first map of Forest and Niflheim. Going to take it 1-0 over Gems and Tonic, and your final score is going to be 500 to 146 in favor of PZ. I think, honestly, Devil likes to play his class a little bit as an assassin, especially with that sword. So he isn't playing that right now. He's gone back towards that shield, and he feels a little bit more confident on that. But
opening split here. Team PZ actually doing the exact same thing we saw from Astral, going with the 4-1 here, sending 4 people to that home node. A very defensive split, and thankfully for Gems and Tonic, they didn't push anybody there because they were going to be met by several deaths, and that would not have benefited them whatsoever. So going to get right on top of Zeus right away here at the beginning on Graveyard.
Yeah, it looks like they're going straight for him, although he's got that shocking aura up, which is going to deter a lot of that damage as they didn't have any stab up. Zeus now at about 60% HP, but he is in water. Just a little bit of time before he's going to be able to get that overload and really come back up. Although forced into Earth, he is actually taken down very quickly there, and Bubby is taken down as well as he's been eliminated here by K-Pud. And
oh, they need some cleave. Nobody's cleaving Zeus, unfortunately. There was no one to be found. I'm not exactly sure. There's nothing more important in that situation than cleaving that down body. There's no other person that Gems and Tonic should have been focusing in that fight, and that was a critical mistake.
I think what's interesting is that K-Pud isn't running Retribution, and I think with this Thief in this matchup, and with actually having Tao on that Warrior that runs a lot of that control, I don't know why you wouldn't want to run Retribution. I mean, certainly they could pull it out regardless because they're just a really strong team. I think that they would do a whole lot better with K-Pud on Retribution because having those taunts would deter a lot of damage from Tao, who isn't going to be able to really pull out a lot of his CCs in quick succession.
Whoa.
But I mean, look at
two guys down. They took down Java. They took down Paul as well. They're able to rack up some kills here and try to get something going here on Legacy of the Faux Fire. A failed decap attempt by Zerko being met by K-Pud. K-Pud all over that. Not going to allow for that to happen whatsoever. I'm sure their scrims with Astral against Toker has definitely helped him in his awareness against Thieves. So Zerko on the Thief definitely not going to surprise him whatsoever with any decaps. K-Pud, however, is under a lot of heat himself. Needs to be careful now. We're posting shadows, keeping alive for the time being, but 8 bleeds going to tick on him. He will be taken into the down state. Can he get back up at the hands of his teammates? They're going in for the res. It looks like they should be able to get him back up into the fray of this, but still, this team fight going all over the place. K-Pud taken down once again, gets immediately back up. Now Zuko in the down state, make that K-Pud down once again here, 3 times, finally getting stomped. 3 times the charm here for Gems and Tonic.
And Zuko is just feeling the wrath of Java, who has not let him out of his sight so far. And look at the conditions on this guy. 16 sacks of bleed were enough to take him down as well. Devil going for that res, potentially going to be able to pull that one off, but
yeah, I'm just surprised that they've continued to take guys down and they're really not capitalizing on it. And that just shows how dominant Team PZ can be. And, you know, it shows they've been in these situations before. They've lost people and they're continuing to, you know, make better rotations and still hold on to these nodes.
Yeah, Dalton right now getting pressured pretty hard, although look at the conditions on Tao, as Tao actually is taken down to about 2k HP. The condition's still ticking, doesn't have resistance, gets dropped there by Java's bleed once again here. Devil is down already. Dalton waiting on that respawn. It looks like PZ turned this one back around here, not letting Team Gems and Tonic come back with this one at all, and they're going to be looking like they're going to get some more map control.
This will
and
be a
set back up. Yeah,
ease.
I mean, they're going to be setting back up once again here. Probably getting that 3 cap, like you said. Maybe they won't get it, but I think that I think that they have enough time to pull this one out. No one really in contention for that midpoint. It looks like we're going to be seeing Paul close the gap on that Elementalist that might have made it towards Graveyard, but that isn't going to be the case. 3 cap, they're moving everybody to the optimal point. I mean, Gems and Tonic is literally falling for the age-old strategy.
This is all they can do right here.
Home.
It really is. Zerko actually stealthed up, looking for a burst with Tao, and Muffin's just going to distort it all.
This isn't what they want to do at all, though, because the thing is that they have a Thief in their matchup.
And
there's no situation
like that
you want to ever have a 5v5 when you're when you're on a matchup with a Thief. It looks like the Thief is going to rotate out, and he's going to be trying to push over towards mid.
But K-Pud's just there to deal with him, and that's a very good point. That fight was not what they wanted. A regroup is what they wanted, but that does not necessarily mean you have to push all 5 guys for that home node.
Yeah, Zuko is doing well handling the pressure. Java was gotten back up, so he is going to be pretty healthy at the moment. But again, Zerko taking too much pressure. Tao, again, one of those guys you really need to kind of bodyguard on that Warrior. It does do a lot of damage, but you need to have someone who can kind of babysit it. It's not a fault of him, it's just how the class operates. You need to have someone who can cleanse conditions off of it so it can keep throwing out the pressure without worrying about that Necromancer just returning fire.
And that would be the Elementalist, and Zuko actually going to stay back. This was an ideal fight for them, but it's going to be Java in the 1v2, and it looks like Muffins is going to leave him in that while the rest of his team tries to deal with things elsewhere. Remember, they did lose K-Pud, so they feel comfortable with leaving him in that matchup, and it looks like Zuko actually heading out of that one, knowing that his team can't do anything without him elsewhere, to be quite honest. And Paul now is going to feel a little bit of heat from 2 guys on the side of Gems and Tonic, still building up to a 300-point lead for Team PZ just over 5 minutes into this game. This is still a very dominant showing on their end.
Yeah, Tao getting the stomp off on Java. They are able to get that decap on the waterfall, looking like they're going to be able to go for the full cap. Everybody honing in on that midpoint. Zerko not looking too hot at the moment as he's just trying to spam dodges to get out of this fight and rotate over towards Tao, who can maybe relieve some of that pressure, although it looks like this is just going to be kind of wasted time, wasted effort here. Zerko is forced off. Dalton, in the meantime, was pushed on, and now he's kind of down to about 40%, up to a 60 now with the heal, and they're looking to take K-Pud out next.
Still one cap in favor of, oh, here's the portal play. I saw Muffins go towards that gate. They already had it down. Remember when they wiped him, got the 3 cap, they managed to take down the gate thanks to Paul, and it looks like they are going to be going straight for the Lord here with 4 guys on offense. No one even close to being on defense aside from Zerko here.
Yeah, and with that Thief, he's not really going to be able to do a whole lot other than that that smoke field.
That's
but
it's just,
yeah, I mean, it's over. The thing is that this patch introduced downstate to the Lord, and while that does increase the survivability of the Lord over time, because if you have other people on it, you can get him back up.
For easy peasy in week 5 up against eDream. Let's take a look at some opening splits as we have the game number 1 in our final series of the day. Starting up on the forest of Niflhel, we will have Zor, the only one that's actually going to be crossing here on the side of both teams for that matter. Is easy peasy looking for the 3-point play. Meanwhile, the rest of eDream gonna look for him. Kenya's looking for some indication and doesn't look like he sees him. Maybe he's just gonna leave his Mesmer to 1v1 Zor here.
Yeah, and Trig versus Zor, I'd probably give it to Zor, actually. I mean, we haven't seen Zor play a whole lot of Mesmer at all, this season at least. We saw it probably last season, but not this one, and I do think that he's actually a pretty strong Mesmer. I think that he's certainly better than Trig, and I would give that matchup to him pretty much
Edison
every day.
Actually plus this fight, and now we have Kenya moving back as well.
But Trig,
I don't know that he needed to, but he forced him off the node, and he's actually way in the back right now. And Edison actually manages to take him down.
When he Blurred Frenzy, he had the retail up on Edison from that Chaos Storm actually coming out from Zor, and that actually was what caused the down.
And actually Kenya now being mowed out by Zor. Look at the Gandhi bomb. Kenya just is evaporated there. He is going to be out of that fight, and that will be another 1 node in favor of easy peasy here now at the mid node. It was actually fully capped by eDream, but the real question is whether or not they're able to hold on, because Edison is coming in hot here. Looking for the pick right away onto Hazard. Hazard taken fairly low, needs to be careful himself. He might actually go down. It looks like he's under a lot of pressure. Rebound was actually thrown out by Taylor. Regardless, he's going to be taking down Chudak, going in for the stomp. He's going to be able to pick it up for himself. I believe Glyph of Tides was used on the side of Wang, trying to knock down any potential res that was going to come out from eDream. And easy peasy starting out this game, looking very strong, despite being 2-capped in a moment here because Trig off respawn went to that mine node.
Yeah, but they're just tearing apart mid, and Edison is all over everything right now. They're going to be able to take, I mean, Taylor's already down. They're going to bleed him out, and Ipno is not in a good spot at all right now. He was able to get his Gwent heal off, but Edison and Wang are both going to be able to chase him out. Edmonton as well, though looks like because Wang left, Edmonton is going to be the one to have to stay on that point. So chasing down is maybe not going to be as successful, although the portal does come out, and they're able to get Ipno out of there. They are going to have to make sure that they push Edison out of this to prevent any decaps from happening with that portal down for the next couple of seconds here.
Taylor off respawn, going to come help support this fight at the henge, but there is a brute force in the making here with Edison and Edmonton coming in looking to have a fun time with Hazard and try and take him down fairly quickly because Hazard already being bombed by the Condis leaves the Shroud prematurely, I'd say. Still just destroyed there, and there's not a whole lot that his teammates are going to do. Gets him back up, thankfully, but right away taken down once again, and so is Kenya. He's off the map here. That's going to be 2 down for eDream as easy peasy. Edison and Edmonton, both of them just running rampant, and there's really not a whole lot that eDream's able to do to counter these two.
Yeah, and it looks like Ipno is going to get the stomp off on Wang, and Wang's going to be out waiting for respawn. So they are going to potentially be able to get pretty close to getting a cap here, although we are going to be seeing Edmonton come in and prevent that from happening, and we're going to be seeing Edison as well come in. So this is that little duo from way back in the day of that that guard and thief combo that they had so long ago. They're finally coming back with it a little bit here with the Revenant taking up that role of the Guardian. Edison getting the stomp now onto Trig here, it looks like. And that's going to solidify yet another kill for easy peasy,
nice
who
portal.
have been pretty lethal so far in this matchup.
Really a good awareness from Zor. getting on that node as soon as he can with that portal, because Hazard off respawn looked for the decap. So very good awareness from him. Edison looking to deal with Hypno now. Hypno, Unrelenting Assault into the block on the shield, able to use that heal immediately, trying to avoid some damage from Chudat, and Edmonton making his way in here. Now they can go full-blown assault onto him because he doesn't have a whole lot to deal with him now. And there's Sebastian Venom coming up for Hypno, or excuse me, for Edison. Doesn't manage to land it onto him. Looking for the kill onto Hazard now as they move this fight towards this mid node, which currently is in possession of Easy Peasy, who are going to be losing their home node in the process here. So still building up to that 100-point lead. eDream, you know, not totally giving up just yet. They still have a chance to make their way back into the game as both teams take one cap apiece here.
Yeah, and Edmonton is looking to take out Hazard, who's pretty low here outside of this shroud, and the Retribution saves him from that fear, actually, and that's going to prevent any damage spiking coming out from Hazard. Edison going to be adding to this, and look at the pressure coming out on Hazard, just going to completely obliterate him as he's taken down from both of these guys. And it looks like Hypno not going to be able to make it over to him in time as Red Team picks up yet another kill here. And that's why a lot of teams have decided to pick up that Thief, because in a lot of cases, it can be incredibly powerful at forcing kills out and then just kind of gaining map control with the snowball.
The thing about the Thief is you have to know how not to team fight, to be quite honest. You have to know how to play around it, and I feel like a lot of teams still are in that team fight mentality, and it can be very difficult to kind of get out of that and figure out how you're supposed to do it. If you're getting picks off the map with, you know, with your Thief, if you're getting plenty of decaps, you're doing it right. You just got to make sure you don't get yourself into that situation of a 5v5 team fight. Make sure you utilize that Thief when you can, and Edison's doing an excellent job of picking people off and doing exactly what he needs to do. Hypno actually being taken down once again. He's going to be dropped off this point, and it looks like Easy Peasy going to be able to hold strong here at the mine node.
Yeah, Kenya forced off of this one. Might get actually picked off here by Edmonton. He's trying really hard to get away, but I mean, the pressure is just way too much from this team here. And you know, he's got Elixir C, but really, what is that extremely strong against? He might be able to do well against the Mesmer with that, but in these team fights, it's just not going to prove to be as useful. So if they can force the fight onto him, especially with that like medic gyro and everything, I think that they're going to be able to take him out with some like really solid spike damage and eliminate him from the fight as well. So they've found some pretty easy targets across the board here for themselves, and they've been able to take a lot of kills because of it. And
that will be Kenya's life ended, perhaps getting back up thanks to the rest of his teammates. Edison now under a lot of heat himself, able to get out of that with the short bow, and we'll be okay. Potentially just going to go back around the corridor here and look for a decap over at the Henge. I'm not so sure if Trig does have a portal open. He just needs to make sure he's paying attention to it. That's an easy decap, if so be it. And it looks like he will drop it, does get there in time, so good awareness on that. And meanwhile, on the other side of the map, Wang and Hypno in the 1v1. Hypno actually able to get a decap there, so it will be a one cap apiece. Kenya, though, is getting very low over here against Edison in that 1v1, surprisingly enough, as that Thief, trying to do what he can, might actually take him down to seal up, not up for another couple seconds, pops the Elixir X, gets the Tornado to buy himself some time to get some of those cooldowns back.
Yeah, it looks like with Kenya getting kind of low here, he is forced in this R, does have that that gyro up. Edison is just basically biding time until Edmonton can come over and they can just both jump on top of him. Interrupt comes out, Pulmonary is going to go as well. Edmonton all over this alongside Edison, trying to get some burst damage onto him. Kenya actually doing a great job of accepting a lot of that pressure and certainly living long enough for Hazard to come over and put some condition pressure down onto Edmonton, forcing both of these guys off the node for the time being. That was a great move by Hazard to force them off. Right now we're looking at 1-to-1 caps, 324 to 195. Certainly a huge lead for Easy Peasy right now. As long as they can kind of keep this up, force them to kind of skirmish around the map, hold them to this 1-1 cap, it's only, I mean, a matter of time until they wind up winning this game. It's just a question of how much is Blue going to be able to come back with any moves that they might be able to make.
Good peels from Chudak, getting some heals onto Edmonton as they start to move this fight towards that mid node. Get some help from Zor, who's kind of sitting there just waiting for something to do. Trig actually portals back onto the point, takes Taylor with him. So that's why Zor was sitting there, had a portal, you know, ready to go. Zor actually has his own dropped on the point. Not so sure what he was hoping to do with that as that fight moved back towards the mid node. So kind of a, say a useless portal for that matter. Not going to be able to make a whole lot of use out of that. Meanwhile, Wang picks up a full cap over at the mine just a little bit ago. Now in the 1v1 with Trig. Looks like he's doing just fine. Does get mowed, though, from the continuous split. Tuned in just at the right time here as Trig looking to actually bring some Condi damage, but doesn't really make a whole lot of use of it, only being 6 seconds now.
Yeah, Wang actually doing a fantastic job sustaining versus Trig, who's tried to use basically every cooldown at this stage to try to take him down, and he's essentially going to have to wait now for that that second continuum split to come back up if he wants any chance of taking him down. Now Hazard eliminated over at the keep here, although it looks, oh, actually a huge stat 5 surge in the miss there from Edmonton is going to push Taylor off, and they're going to try once again for this res. They might actually get it this time, but the pressure that they're going to be able to, that they're going to be forced to take is going to be huge. Hazard eliminated here, but Ipno now at 50%, Taylor at about 60%. It's looking extremely good here for Easy Peasy, who are up at 2 cap, now at about 439 points. 5.5 minutes left in this game. I don't see too much opportunity for this team eDream here to come back at this stage.
Not really whatsoever. I mean, they're just 50 points away from taking this game #1. eDream yet to really find something to get them going, and it's probably too late at this point. I mean, we've seen some crazy comebacks, but not on Force of Niflhel for that matter. And I mean, eDream has, or excuse me, Easy Peasy has such a firm grip on this game right here with the 2 cap on these side nodes. Wang and Chudat sitting over at the mine. That should be an easy sweep here. Now the question is, what can eDream do in this second game that will allow them to do, you know, not what happened in this first game? Because this is by no means a good performance on their end.
I do want to say at this stage right now, I mean, it is about to change right here as they do pick up a kill on Edmonton. The biggest thing that I think made such an impact in this game here is their ability to shut Hazard down on that Necromancer. As soon as the scoreboard comes up here, of course, 501 to 258, we're going to be seeing Easy Peasy pull away a victory here.
All right, well, here we go. Game number 2 on Legacy the Faux Fire. Let's see if anything, hopefully this one goes pretty smoothly here. Let's take a look at some opening splits here as it looks like Trig heading directly to the waterfall. Edmonton and Edison both heading to the quarry, surprisingly enough, and Zor going to be meeting both Hazard and Trig. Actually 2v2, so a fairly, I would say, kind of odd opener, I would have to actually say, on the part of Easy Peasy, who are looking for the early burst as Edison is actually stealthed up, looking for the kill right away. Misses the initial burst onto Ipno, who is going to be actually goes right into the gland, looking for the heal potentially if there's any more pressure put onto him. But the early cap there over at the waterfall from eDream, who forced out a couple members of Easy Peasy.
Yeah, but interestingly enough, I mean, Edison is, I mean, look at his cooldowns, already forced out of most of them and really hasn't gotten any kind of kill potential. We talked a little bit with Toker again. I want to bring that up, is that when you run a Thief, you have to get a very early kill, because when you go up against a comp like what eDream is playing, they have so much sustain that they could potentially turn that one back around on you and actually wind up taking kills over time and out sustaining you. You have to get something early on or you're going to be falling apart at the bits later.
It looks like Chudat seems to be a main target on the side of eDream, as Ipno unfortunately wasn't able to really follow up with a whole lot of pressure. We had the Mesmers at a 1v1 over at the waterfall, currently capped in favor of eDream, so it would really favor Zor to just drop a portal and head back to the mid node, since that is the enemy team's node. Now Chudat still being pushed down. It looks like actually Hazard seems to be the main target for Easy Peasy, not taking a whole lot of pressure just yet. We'll have to see how he's going to be able to, you know, adapt here, as Edison actually moved over towards the waterfall, so close to a decap. Kenny going to follow up on this one as well and make it a 2v2 here, but still very close game early on in the opening minutes here.
Yeah, and Trig fighting for his life here, Zor as well. So both of these Mesmers under immense pressure, and Trig actually might get dropped here, does to the Condi's 2K Confusion Tick, going to solidify that one, and now it looks like they're going to be able to take that kill. It is tied up for now, but Zor going down, if they're able to take that kill, and they might actually pull that one off. Oh, Ipno getting kind of low. Edison taken down as well. This could be a wipe.
Is Edmonton able to finish the job right now? That's the real question, because both his teammates, it looks like Zor is going to be completely eliminated there. Edison as well. Edmonton wasn't able to finish it off. 2 members down now, and I think Ipno should be able to survive. I see Kenya keeping him alive along with his own support from, you know, just being a Revenant at that. Now Trig actually going for a decap over at the quarry. Things looking very smooth here at the opening for eDream. Definitely looking a lot stronger than they did in the first game.
Yeah, Ipno's still under a lot of pressure. Edmonton kind of keeping that dream alive a little bit here. Kenya not able to get enough heals into his teammate quite yet, even with those water runes. And Edison is back at it again here, and he's going to be taking him down. Ipno in the downstage. Huge surge in the mist coming off. taking Kenya out of that res.
A really good surge in the mist coming out there from Edmonton, and props to him for staying alive as long as they did. I think that was the fault of eDream to even keep 2 guys there. They held the node. There was really no reason they couldn't send that extra guy to the graveyard to help out for the time until it took easy peasy to get members back to that node. So fortunately, it looks like easy peasy going to come out with that cap, not let eDream get too big of a lead early on here as things start to move towards that mid node.
Yeah, Kenya right now still under pressure from trying to get away from that fight over at Waterfall. Does look a lot better now, has that super elixir as well. So, I mean, he's looking fairly healthy here. It doesn't look like anyone's able to get a lot of pressure out on him quite yet. Zor going to be following him out to the Waterfall as it looks like Kenya's trying to make it out for a decap. Wang taking a little bit of pressure as well, but as we know with those Druids, they go up and down with that health bar. Kenya still being trained out here, does have that Elixir C, so he shouldn't be under too much pressure over the course of a long fight, although he was just mowed. Not a whole lot.
Ooh, Wang actually taken down. Remember, this is not really what you want to do, have your Thief in a team fight. You don't want this 5v5. That's not what they want right there. And that's exactly what actually happened. And there's a nice portal by Trig to counteract Edison, who looked for a decap over at the quarry, trying to make an attempt there. But ultimately, Kenya forcing the Lightning Flash out of Chudat. Not a huge cooldown at that, but still a notable one for that matter. And one cap apiece for both these teams. And eDream continuing to look strong in this game number 2, still holding on to a decent lead here.
Yeah, actually, Edison looking pretty good against Trig right now. If he can just kind of wait for that steal to come back up, he might actually be able to eliminate him. Steal is back up now, but he has to wait for his conditions to kind of peel off, and he might just kind of wait and try to play a quick rotation here as he does rotate back over. It looks like his team is kind of struggling to find a spot for them to get a foothold in once again, as Zor is looking to make that rotation, although Hypno all over Zor at the moment and doing a good job of peeling for his teammate Trig to make sure that Trig keeps that full cap under no pressure at all, just in case Edison tries to make his way back over. Retribution doing wonders on Zor right now with that taunt, making sure some of that pressure isn't going to really take Hypno down very quickly.
As his heal, though, is going to be able to use it. Not doing a whole lot, to be quite honest. Didn't have any condies for that matter, but still, Hypno looking to put some pressure still down onto him. This is a 3v1 in favor of Easy Peasy. So if I were them, you'd better make haste on this kill. Otherwise, it's not really going to pay off for that matter. They still hold on to the Waterfall. Easy Peasy starting to claw their way into a lead here in a matter of moments, assuming Graveyard. Actually, Graveyard is in favor of eDream. I do want to point that out despite the scoreboard. So 1 cap apiece here, about a 30-point lead now for eDream. There's the 2 cap on the sides for Easy Peasy as they start to move back into this game. Remember, they do not want the team fight. All 5 members pushing onto the mid node is not advisable if I were them.
Yeah, the thing is, though, is that they need to make sure that they're just kind of taking picks, because the thing is once they get this 2 cap, the fight might naturally gravitate towards that midpoint. And if they hold them there, then there's nothing else for that Thief to do. I mean, he really just kind of needs to take some random picks and try to see if he can get someone caught off guard, because there's not a whole lot else for him to do at that stage.
That's a really good point. He can't go for decaps on the sides. There's really, aside from a gate kill, there's not a whole lot for him to do, and that's heavily going to favor eDream. And that's, they're waiting for the push from eDream so that if they happen to leave the graveyard, they could potentially get a decap, or Edison just getting picks in the roads, and that's exactly what he's looking for here with Trig.
Yeah, Edison has been doing a pretty good job so far today, as we've seen, just kind of setting up kills for his team. But I mean, he's been getting trained left and right this game so far, forced into his base this time with about 600 HP, down to about 400 now, as he's going to be trying to get out of combat to get his health back up. Meanwhile, his team at midpoint right now is trying to take down Kenya. Edmonton taking a lot of pressure himself, though. Good stuff from Wang, getting him back up with a quick lunar impact. And that is going to be Trig pulling off towards the Waterfall, trying to get a decap, trying to set his team up for perhaps a little 2-0 cap.
Get on. Oh my goodness, how do you not? I'm surprised. I don't know if he had Ancestral Grace. He had Ancestral Grace on the staff and didn't even swap to the staff. appalled that just happened. I have no words for that.
Yeah.
Zor taken down at mid as well. E-Dream looking pretty good here, even though Edison will pick up a full cap over there at the quarry. Good move to let Chudat move on out of that node and just make sure the Thief caps it. But Chudat going to be moving into nothing. He's going to have to make a long trek over towards the waterfall if he wants to become a part of that team fight and let the Thief do his thing around the the other parts of the map for that matter. And still about a 40-point lead now for E-Dream. 7 minutes remaining in this game, 275 to 234.
Yeah, this is certainly one of those like feels bad man moments, as they should be they should have waterfall capped out this entire time. They should have controlled this node, fighting with a 2 cap. That should be how this is kind of going, although now they are fighting, well, actually 1-0, so it's not too bad. Wang was killed off. Edmonton under a lot of pressure, though, and doesn't look like they've made any headway on trying to turn this fight around. They're going to be forced to leave this one for sure and try to maybe get some separation between themselves and the damage that Hazard has been providing this game. Kenya right now at about 30% HP. Maybe the setup coming from Zor to perhaps eliminate him, although all that stab coming out from that Elixir Elite with Juggernaut there actually, and the Bulwark kind of saved him, made him able to get away. So
that is, he almost takes the last precision strike hit, so close to being taken out. Edison needs to be very, very cautious about his next move because Hypno's looking for blood. He's out for him, and it looks like Edison's going to peel around, do what Thieves do, go for that decap over there. So Hypno going to try and follow up on that potentially. Might be able to get there with phase traversal. He should be able to. Just one tick away, does get on the point in time. Luckily for him, able to hold on to that 1 cap for his team. Is easy peasy left and unsure of what their next move is going to be because they've got to get something going here. 5:30 on the clock before E-Dream gets too big of a lead.
Yeah, Chudat actually right now keeping his team alive a little bit here, but Trig is the one who's under a lot of pressure right now. And he does actually get dropped here by Edison and Edmonton, and they're going to be going for a little bit of some cleave here as Kenya and Hazard are moving over to try to pick their teammate back up. Kenya already has the gyro and himself on that body trying to bring it up, but the pressure is just way too much. Edison taking a little bit of damage in the process, but certainly is going to get away for the time being. A huge amount of damage coming from those precision strike hits from Hypno, who is all over Edison. I mean, look at that.
Edison himself needs to be careful, like he said. Always being careful on this map. Like Toker had mentioned earlier in the interview, just not a great map, essentially, for the Thief to be on. Kenya actually eliminated at the graveyard there, so they will have the numbers advantage, starting to make room for getting back into this game, down just under 30 points with 4:30 remaining here. We could see double Lord Rush from either team. Neither team actually has a gate down here, so we'll have to see if the Mesmers drop a portal and look for something like that. But it looks like, if I were easy peasy right now, I just continue to build this lead, try not to lose any more members, and you can easily go for a Lord at the end if things start to move your way, because it feels like they've started to come back into this game now.
Yeah, Hazard really kind of hurting right now. Edmonton all over him. Looks like he's going to be forced back into his base unless Edmonton can take him out. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case. He's going to be able to make it there. So Hazard going to be safe, putting himself in a position where he needs to get out of combat as quick as possible to make it back into that fight, as Kenya is now in that Elixir X right now, trying to get that tornado just to get everybody off of him, maybe.
Yeah, it's such an awful feeling every time you're forced back into your base. I mean, there's nowhere else for you to go.
Yeah.
It's such an awful feeling, and Hazard back up in the fight now. Looking for a kill here.
But here's the thing, with Zor getting kind of low, he's kind of thinking about his options at this stage. He has that portal ready. He has the ability to set that next to the gate. I mean, they're getting extremely close here. All they need to do is kind of hold on to that quarry node. No one is in any sort of position
Trig,
to perhaps contest that. So
Wang, let's see if he swaps weapon sets this time. He does, but doesn't make it there in time. So that will be a decap, a 10-point lead, 344 to 334 in favor of Easy Peasy with 3 minutes left on the clock here. Edison coming off a respawn, was killed at the graveyard moments ago. Trig picked up the
Zor's
stop.
going for it. Zor's going for it.
Zor is going to be going for it here. So
Oh, nope. Never
Nope.
mind. Deciding he needs to save Edmonton. Looks like with Edison rotating over, they're going to go for the Moa there onto Hazard and try to eliminate him. They need to make sure that they take Kenya down too. And I wouldn't even try to kill these bodies off. I would just leave them in downstate and then go directly for the Lord.
I mean, look at the positioning. Taylor is at the mid node. Their Mesmer Trig is all the way on the other side of the map. This is a prime opportunity for Easy Peasy to win the game right here. Get the kill onto Kenya. Move. Oh, they're not going for it. They're playing the safe route. They want to go for the points here and just bank on the fact that eDream, doesn't have a shot at getting that Lord kill.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, Taylor is over on the midpoint. The person that I would be most concerned about being inside of that base wasn't any of the guys on respawn. Yes. I mean, he was over at mid. I don't know if they would have rotated him quick enough to be able to go in there, but Zor is now going for that gate. Looks like he's going to try to open that up. And
he's got it fairly low. If I'm Zor right now, just finish it off so the team doesn't have any indication you're coming. He doesn't even get to finish it off. He could have blinked. They don't even need that cap, essentially, but he is going to play it safe. That's not a bad move by Zor anyway. As they still hold on to the 2 cap here, and a minute 40 remaining on the clock. They could just ride out the victory with that waterfall node as Corey was just decapped.
I'm actually one to think that it would be safer for them to just go for the Lord because they have Zor with the potential to go for the portal.
eDream.
And also because this could happen. I mean, it feels so much safer for them to go for the Lord. They have so much damage between Edison and Edmonton. And even with Zor as well, they had the Moa available. They had the portal ready. All they had to do was just go in. They don't have a lot of, they have Wang and Chudat. If they can pull both of these guys back quick enough, they might be able to hold on long enough. But
this is it. This is it for eDream.
They don't want to put themselves in this position. I don't know why they didn't just go for it.
There's 10 people back at the Lord right now as the last remnants of both teams make it there. This Lord sitting about 95% HP. The break bar is gone. Have to see he's got a few conditions. Get down to 75% HP. The health bars on both teams look just fine. 40 seconds remaining. If the Lord is killed, that will be game in favor of eDream. If
Moa
there's a wipe,
yeah,
if there's a wipe, it's Easy Peasy's game, and it looks like the heal does get interrupted there. That's going to be the Lord's heal getting interrupted. He's going to be going into the downstate. That could be it. They're going in for the stomp, potentially. Trig will have the distortion. No, the res comes out from Easy Peasy just as Trig came down with the distortion stomp, and now it looks like the Lord back in the downstate once again. Are they able to go for it? Hypno's going in for it. That's going to be the kill as eDream will be coming out with the victory on Legacy of the Vofire.
That is a mistake on their part. I mean, they should not have won that at all. A huge throw in my opinion. Easy Peasy should have just had Zor drop the portal, go to mid, portal everybody out. What was Taylor gonna do? Run over to the Lord faster than they were able to eliminate it? There was no hope for them.
Easy Peasy, Lemon Squeezy, and eDream both tied up 1-1. Easy Peasy needs this game to keep their hopes on the line of finishing in the top half, kind of the top 2 to be quite honest, of the standings. Still got some tough matches ahead of them, but still keeping the dream alive if they win this year. eDream looking for their first series victory of the season. Let's look at some opening splits here on the Battle of Kylo. Second time today we've actually hit this map. Zor going to the windmill. Trig and Hazard both heading to the mansion, looking for a little bit more of a defensive play as we have some stealth come out here straight away from Edmonton and Edison as they look to find their first victim.
First victim indeed. It looks like that is Edmonton trying to take down Taylor, and Taylor actually forced into a lot of his cooldowns there at about 60% HP, and they can easily just jump on top of him. Looks like Edison's trying to do just that with his teammate there, and Taylor has done a good job of sustaining so far, but he is essentially out of cooldowns at this stage. Coming up with Field of Burn pretty soon here. Looks like he's been able to sustain long enough to at least have his team get Wang down and get the rest of those guys off of him for the time being.
Yeah, Wang was under some heat. Actually gets Moa'd now. Taylor taken down as well. Wang needs to keep himself alive as long as he can. Thankfully, due to that, Moa being dropped down to 6 seconds, Wang was able to keep himself alive. Taylor still in the downstate, will be stomped out just right there. And now looking for a kill onto Kenya on the other side of the map as Zor actually in the 1v1 with him still. But back to that mid-fight, Hazard taken down extremely low. Nero, that would be Hypno as well, forced to bail out of the fight. Hazard in the downstate now. Things looking very good here for Easy Peasy at the start of this one.
Yeah, Kenya right now is in a 1v1 with Zor. It looks like it's kind of neck and neck at the moment. Zor trying to land some burst on him, but with that Elixir C, he is able to kind of control this fight a little bit more so than one would probably expect, and he's been doing a great job so far of sustaining in this one. Maybe long enough for his teammate to come over here and get him some kind of like sustain a little bit, some support, and it is going to happen here with Taylor coming onto the node, although so is Chudat. So this is going to be kind of a weird sustainy 2v2 here. I don't expect much to happen anytime soon. So otherwise, Edmonton kind of here at 30% HP, trying to get some support from Wang, who's going to be able to peel him out of this fight. And Hypno is now trying to solidify a kill alongside
nice
Hazard.
Bone getting onto Wang there, but Edmonton was actually able to avoid it, thankfully for his sake. Still a 5-point lead here for E-Dream, really not much, just a single kill to be able to get Easy Peasy to tie this game up here, as both teams holding on to 1 cap apiece. 2.5 minutes into this game now. Nothing too crazy right away, as it looked like Easy Peasy had a good start, but of course E-Dream was able to counter it pretty much with ease and take this game, you know, kind of too easy peasy here and try to make it their game in this third one. Because honestly, given the fact that the first game easily went to Easy Peasy, second game felt like Easy Peasy's, but E-Dream won it. I feel like anything can happen on this map, of course.
Yeah, Kenya taking pretty low here. Edmonton trying to finish this one off, and he's, I mean, this is not the first time this map that Kenya has been this low, and it looks like he's going to be able to kind of stay alive long enough. And now Edison actually was just eliminated by Hypno over on the other side of the map here, and that's going to be a pretty big pickup, as now Edison is going to have to wait for that respawn. They're going to be good across the map to kind of take whatever team fight they want without kind of worrying about any sort of decapping or worrying about any kind of stuff like that, and they can kind of overpower, basically get a 3v2 somewhere. And it looks like they're going to be opting for Zor here, who's trying to teleport out, and Hypno instead has an idea of his own to just completely bash him down. He's going to get the stomp off as well after this, after Zor trolls him with the 2.
Yeah, he's going to be able to get the stomp there. That will be a kill. So the 2 cap still prevailing here for Easy Peasy. First 2 cap of the game for either team, for that matter, as Wang will be moving out, looking for Kenya potentially, who's just sitting around the mansion node. As long as Wang still resides in Clock Tower, that's not really necessarily a waste of Kenya, just because both teams are sitting one person there, but Trig actually is going to engage him. And I feel like Kenya sitting at this mansion node is not the counter to Edison. He's just sitting there. I mean, drop a portal, get your Mesmer over there to do something. Kenya has not moved because he's just sitting there. I'm assuming he's just waiting for Edison. There's no other explanation for this.
I would definitely consider taking the fight to the midpoint and then allowing your Mesmer to pull out of that. But I don't really understand the purpose of that. I mean, you kind of need to have someone holding the front, but you definitely don't need them to be back that far at all.
The 2 counters I've seen to the Thief today, I mean, there's the Mesmer portal, of course, but there's also Hypno just sitting on top of Edison. Of course, he has to deal with Edmonton as well, but, you know, as long as Hypno is, you know, keeping tabs on Edison, that's a potential way to deal with him. And it looks like Kenya finally moving towards that mid node as Trig is there as well. Going to make the portal play as Trig brings Hypno along through with him. Taylor actually taken into the downstate. They're going in for the res. Isn't enough. It looks like they are able to get him back up into the midst of this fight here. Off of respawn, it looks like Hazard taking a long route back to this mid node, which seems to obviously favor Easy Peasy holding onto this cap. The real question is, will anything come of it for E-Dream, or are they just going to wipe here once again?
Yeah, Hypno right now is looking all right, actually, with that infused light ready to go here. And it looks like he's going to be trying to take Wang down a little bit. Wang looks like he's really not able to accept a lot of this pain at the moment. He is going to be able to get some heals, but forced out of that Celestial Avatar right now, he's going to be in a little bit of trouble. They are trying to get some support into him from Chudat. It's going to be a question of if he can sustain long enough for them to put out some counter pressure down onto someone like Kenya or even Trig.
It looks like Edison, here's the decap. And it looks like Hypno is, shortly behind him here. Phase traversal gonna come in, gets onto the point. Really nice phase traversal into that reposting shadows coming out there from Hypno. Excellent play, able to hold on to that cap for his team. Still a 2 cap in favor of Easy Peasy. They almost have that 100-point lead with 8:40 on the clock now as the 2v1. Nice surge of the miss as well from Hypno. Looking for the kill on Edison. That will connect, able to take him down. Kenya probably coming in with the function jar, trying to finish him off as Edmonton, excuse me. I just combined the names together there. Edmonton looking to bail out of this fight and, try to hold on to the remaining nodes that they hold on to here.
Yeah, they have been able to kind of find a little bit of an answer here for Edison on this map so far, and it's a lot attributed to Hypno's ability to stay on top of them, as you were saying. And the problem is just that across the board, they haven't really been able to do a whole lot else. I mean, that's pretty much been what they've been focused on, and while they have done a good job with that, they just really haven't kind of succeeded anywhere else. And certainly Zor doing a good job of sustaining so far in this 2v1 against the Mesmer and the Revenant. It just wasn't enough there. Chudat now trying to get a little bit of a res going here, especially with Edison trying to get some interrupts as well. I just don't think I don't really think it's going to be enough, and I think Zor's probably going to be cleaved out here in just a matter of time.
Now that they'll have this numbers advantage, they could definitely take their this far node over at the windmill back for their own. Both teams sitting somebody on their cap nodes. It's not terrible. It's not a bad thing by any means. Now that eDream does have the numbers advantage over here at the windmill, they can definitely take advantage of this and look for the kill onto Chudat. He's actually dropped into the downstate now as Trig goes in for the distortion stomp. Will come through with it as his team only has Edmonton to deal with here, but Zor coming off a respawn. Can they kill Edmonton in time? It doesn't look like that's going to be the case, but they will be funneling back into this node now. The real question is whether or not both these guys can hang on until Chudat brings his support back into this fight.
Yeah, Edison right now getting kind of trained out a little bit. Trig just putting some good counter pressure down, just kind of playing a little bit passively, forcing Edison to use cooldowns just from the conditions applied from the shatters, just kind of latently. And Chudat now is, I kind of hope that they're telling Edison to move out of this fight. I mean, there's not really a lot of other places for him to go, but
there really
it's just a weird team fight for him to be in. I mean, certainly I would like to see Wang in this fight perhaps, because although Druid is kind of iffy in these team fights, it can really kind of prove to be really strong in some cases if Wang isn't actually focused. Granted, this team, eDream here, has done a pretty good job of focusing him in these team fights. It's just, I just don't know what the Thief accomplishes in these kind of equal fights of 4v4.
Yeah, even
when there's a lot of condition pressure too.
Sure, even so, things have still pretty much went swimmingly here for Easy Peasy, holding on to a 2 cap for most of the game. And there's the D cap from Edison, who will pick up the 3 cap for them as Easy Peasy with ease going to move forward with this game number 3 on the Battle of Kylo. Certainly going to come out on top of eDream here and move on to that 3-2 record, which would drop eDream down to 0-5 as they move forward into their next week's game up against the other 0-5 team. That would be Spooky, but an excellent showing here in this 3rd game from Easy Peasy. Not quite what they had in mind, giving up the game to eDream at that, but still coming through with the victory, the much needed victory, and kind of, just keeping their hopes alive here.
Yeah, so great game there from Easy Peasy. Solidifying that victory as they probably should have last game, nonetheless coming out with the win.
Be sure to join us over on YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, still over at Guild Wars 2, and of course ESL GW2. Hit them up, let them know your thoughts on today's outcome. That is actually all from us. We thank you guys for joining us. Congratulations to the teams on their victories, and that'll be it from us. We'll see you next time.